Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. This is a special extended edition of Modash Live. So we've got loads of exciting speakers coming up for you today. And I am just so excited for this session. First of all, did you all recognize the famous Mo Pig in the intro? Well, his name is Milo. He is the biggest diva pig in the world. And yes, he does live in my back garden. So if you're wondering why you saw a pig, now you know why. Okay, let's do a quick check. Where are you all tuning in from? I'm seeing the comments just popping off. So, Paris, India, Pittsburgh, hello, Toronto, Essex from England, hello, fellow Englander, if that's even a word. Spain, more from India, Atlanta. Gosh, we have gone worldwide on this session. London, the Netherlands, Glasgow, New York City. Oh my gosh, the comments. I am loving this. Athens, Manchester. Well, welcome everyone. It's fantastic to have you all. Now, next question I have for you. What was the last thing you were influenced to buy? Comment yours to the right. We had some absolutely hilarious ones in the last webinar. Someone said a Dyson vacuum for their girlfriend. And I mean, if I was his girlfriend, I would have loved that. Oh, I see a comment. Freeze-dried ice cream. I need to try that. I've never tried that before. But mine was the recent M&S Easter eggs. If you know, you know, because they look blooming delicious, especially their pistachio one and their Big Daddy, which is a peanut-loaded half egg. I'm literally making myself hungry thinking about it right now. But let's see what you guys are saying. I want to know what you're buying. A lip stain, unfiltered eye patches. I love a good eye patches. I saw someone say Korean Beauty, their glass face mask. I'm absolutely obsessed with. A Starbucks bear. Did not know that they did that. And the Huda Beauty phone grip. I have seen so many people buy these, and apparently they sold out really quickly. So I wonder if they are being restocked. A few of you are agreeing the M&S Easter eggs. They are literally elite. They have gone all out this year. What else are we getting? Okay. Oh, I've never heard of this brand. Sickler. I hope I've not butchered that brand name, but I am going to Google that after this. But brilliant. A lot of you are buying things. Hair oil from Skin Cupid London. Love that. I think that one smells absolutely delicious in my opinion. Okay, I have another question for you. What's your favorite influencer story this month? And I know some of you guys have noticed Punch the Monkey. This is my favorite. Well, it's not really an influencer story, but it took social media by storm. So if you have been hiding underneath a rock, basically Punch is a baby monkey who got rejected by his mum and ended bonding with an IKEA monkey instead. I know it's heartbreaking, but the plot twist is that another monkey actually ended up adopting him. So it actually turned out to be a really sweet, happy ending. And I can only imagine that the IKEA monkeys probably all sold out. So let's see if you guys have any interesting stories. Okay. Oh yeah, Punch is the best. I know. Have you seen like the photos of him just like cradling this toy monkey? I know. Emotional, but I'm so glad that he finally got his happy ending. Okay, let's teaming. Oh, I've not seen this one. Lily Collins teaming up with Zalando. That's amazing. And Victoria, great to have you back again. I've seen you a few times on these webinars. Okay, let's get started. So today's session is all about how brands actually do influencer marketing. Not theory, but what's actually happening inside real teams right now. Now, this is a 2.5-hour deep dive, so definitely do stay hydrated. But we're hearing directly from marketers from brands like Stanley 1913, Goodwipes, and also Sweet Lawrence. But whilst we wait for more people to join, let's start with a quick poll. I absolutely love a poll. Okay, poll number 1. What's the hardest part of influencer marketing for you right now? Is it finding the right creators, creating content that actually performs, managing campaigns, proving ROI, or is it scaling beyond those one-off campaigns? Now, while you guys go ahead with an answer, I'm going to do a little introduction on myself. So, hello, my name is Simone, and I am a content producer and influencer marketing expert here at Modash. Now, from 2012 to 2022, I actually worked as a professional influencer, working with brands like Amazon, Look Fantastic, The Body Shop, racking up over 41 million views alone on YouTube. But today, I work as an in-house content producer at probably the best company in the world, Modash, or you'll mostly find me on TikTok, YouTube, and do give us a follow if you're not following us already. Okay, let's reveal the results from poll number 1. I'm really interested what you guys are saying. Ooh, a mix. Creating content that actually performs. This webinar is going to be good for you then. So today's agenda will be super simple. First, there'll be 3 main talks and 1 panel with some very special guests, followed by a Q&A at the end. So do ask your questions using the chat field to the right of your screen. Our Q&A sections pop off. They're really fun, so definitely do stick around for that. We are also going to be awarding some prizes to some of you. And if you want the chance to win, all you need to do is 1, bring the good vibes. Simply answer questions in the chat. And I can see that you guys have been super noisy in the chat, so I don't think we're going to have a problem there. 2, be the most curious one. Ask the most questions. We want to hear from you. Or 3, be the chat titterer. Start a conversation on LinkedIn either during or after this webinar. Okay, so let's kickstart session 1 off with Tess and Meredith, who will share how they built Goodwipes' first ever content-led campaign and what they would do differently. There will be an opportunity to ask Tess and Meredith a couple of questions at the end of their segment, so do ask your questions using the chat field to the right. Tess and Meredith, I'm going to pass over to you.
Yay, thank you. We're so excited to be here. We're so excited to chat about all things Goodwipes. We are an actually flushable butt wipe that out cleans toilet paper, if you've never heard of us. And we're going to get into all the fun stuff of how we built our first ever creator-led campaign. Let me introduce ourselves. I'm Tess. I run our social media and influencer program here at Goodwipes. I've been working in CPG for the last 7-ish years. I love getting to work with creators. It's my favorite part of the job. And I'll pass it off to Meredith.
Hello, I'm Meredith Dean. I am our head of marketing here at Goodwipes. I've been in CPG marketing for 20 years, so it's a long time. I spent most of my time at PepsiCo doing consumer analytics and insights and marketing. Then I was at an amazing company called Perfect Bar, which makes refrigerated protein bars. And then now I'm at Goodwipes. I get to lead our entire organization from a marketing standpoint. And I'm super excited. We have some really fun collabs coming out in the next few weeks and months. So keep an eye out.
Yay. So before we talk about this campaign, I wanted to just let you see it. This is a little BTS that we shot when we were taking the out-of-home assets in New York. So without further ado.
I'm here with Goodwipes, so we're about to get wet. So just keep your ass wet. Thank you.
So a little bit of background on our influencer program. It's relatively new. We're a smaller brand. We have about 20 people that work for us, and we haven't had someone in this full-time role until I came on a year ago. We work with anywhere from 30 to 50 creators per month, and it totally depends on our budget and campaign needs. But our focus is around creator collabs on Instagram. We're testing a little bit on TikTok, whitelisted content, and then also our quarterly box and gifting. So because we're butt wipes, we like to give people something to talk about, and gifting is a really fun way to share the product in unique ways and keep refreshing it every couple of months. So back to Wet January. This was our cheeky take on Dry January. If you are in the US, you probably have heard that people love to quit drinking in January as a reset. And we wanted to anchor ourselves around a cultural commentary that's already existing, but we flipped it. Instead of talking about whether you're drinking or not, we didn't care. The one thing we wanted you to not keep dry was the way you wipe. And we really encouraged people to use butt wipes instead of toilet paper. And this was Hallie Batchelder. She is a New York influencer who was the lead of our campaign. And this was her social video that she posted and kind of launched the campaign, kicked it off at the beginning of January. So I'll play it for you now. Ooh.
Okay, it's 2026 and you're still using dry, scratchy, disgusting toilet paper? What's wrong with you? No, we don't do that here. I recently switched to Goodwipes and honestly, I regret not doing it sooner. Look at here, it's cleaner, fresher, better. Do I need to say more? And people keep asking me, they're like, Hallie, are you doing dry January? Are you doing dry January? I'm seeing all the comments. Absolutely not. I'm doing Wet January with Goodwipes. Thank you very much. Wet January, February, March, April, the rest of them, you get the gist of it. It smells like Aruba. Like what? Beautiful. So join me, because once you go clean, you will never go back.
Oh, so these were some of our campaign out of home that was placed all over New York. And during that shoot, we were actually able to capture some BTS and social assets with Hallie. I highly recommend doing this, putting it part of your contractual agreements with creators so you can get the most out of the campaign as possible, and just brings it to life on social a little bit more. And then we also had supplemental creators during the month of January who were following a similar brief to Hallie, all focused on making January wet. You'll get a copy of this deck so you can watch these on your own, but it's really fun to see how different they are, but they're all following the same message. And at the end of our campaign, at the end of January, because it's only ran for a month, we actually had an in-person party where we got to invite creators who worked on the campaign, but also just friends and ambassadors of the brand. And we generated 60 pieces of content and over 300,000 impressions in about 2 hours. And I'll talk more about how we tracked that at a later point in the presentation. So I want you guys to walk away with some tangible takeaways that you can bring back to your teams. If budgets allow, have your main creator post multiple times through the campaign instead of just one piece at the top of the launch. And this could be done through very different ways: stories, maybe a photo dump, reshare of your campaign content. This really separates the difference between it looking and feeling like an ad and then your creator being more an ambassador of your brand. Takeaway 2 is creating authentic content that's unique and resonates with an audience still requires you to offer some guardrails and must not miss talking points for your creator. So I actually think when you have a brief, shifting it slightly per creator if you can, and pointing out what pieces of content they've already made that you really like to give them a source of inspiration, and then just let them have at it. And you'll get some really good stuff out of that way. And then number 3 is content fatigue is very real. Posting the same lead creator too much could erode novelty. And when we were talking about our campaign, we found that it could have been fun to bring other creators maybe into the campaign. Meredith had this great idea, what if next time you built a campaign around a friend group? And I think that could be really fun. There's so many creators who are friends, go on brand trips, so you can find creators who could do that. Or instead of having a party at the end, maybe it's the middle of the campaign, so it injects new energy, and that brings some new social content to the forefront. And this was how we tracked our content with Modash. We used the event mode. I don't know if any of you guys have used this before, if you are a user of Modash, but you can see all the content from the party was brought in. So I didn't have to do this manually. I didn't have to have a social media person saving this while the event was going on. And then we also were able to see the metrics and the impressions that the party generated. And this is really helpful to bring back to the greater team to validate whether or not the party was a good decision. So yeah, highly recommend using that if you haven't. So a little bit of overview. I know I went fast, but because we're a butt wipes company, we got to be creative. We wanted to have a concept that felt fresh and on brand and without being crude or gross. We love working with diverse creators. Not all creators we work with have to be in beauty or personal care. Different audiences, different stories, and sometimes working with creators who are a little unique or funny, it works for us. An in-person event will only go as far as your team creates the vibe. So if you're going to have an in-person event, make sure that your team is there to welcome people and genuinely be excited to meet people. And you will feel that it becomes more of a community event than, a brand event where people are just getting free stuff. And finally, flexible briefing always wins. I love giving creators creative freedom, but also making sure that I express what they cannot miss. I'm going to pass it over to Meredith.
Cool. Thanks, Tess. So I want to take a little bit of a step back. There's only 2 slides here, but hopefully a lot of really good learnings and content. And I want to talk about what we consider and what, I look for in what I would call good influencer content. And I think what's really helpful is to think about our influencers that we partner with the same way we think about how we would activate our community or any sort of event. And it starts with something that's relatable, memorable, and shareable. And then I think the scalable piece, which I'll talk about, is really an add-on for influencer content specifically. So I think about finding creators and influencers that can create a relatable piece of content, right? I think a lot of people can connect with a creator based upon one nugget that they might say. So something that's really not too scripted and letting the creator speak to their own audience in their own voice. So I think, there's something that Lindsay here says, I'll let Tess play the piece of content where she talks about what happens after she's going drinking the next day in the bathroom, which is honestly a really relatable thing that I think a lot of her audience can relate to. So I'll let Tess play this piece of content.
Everybody's doing dry January, and that's adorable. But me, I'm declaring wet January, which means wet drinks. And yeah, wet wipes, because if I'm having a drink, I'm having the dads. The day after drinking and dry toilet paper in 2026 with this ass, absolutely not. So luckily I have Goodwipes to keep everything on theme. Wet on the inside and wet on the backside. You know what I mean? Everybody's doing
Awesome. So, and I should have started by saying, I don't think these things are mutually exclusive, right? Like really, really good influencer content is relatable, memorable, and shareable all at the same time. So I know I laid these out in a format that you can kind of think of like the one thing that's relatable or the one thing that's memorable. But I think in most of these pieces of content, they're hitting all of the buckets. So something that we look for second is content that's memorable and creators that are memorable. And I think this is, can they deliver 1 to 2 messages really uniquely that hit, not giving a creator a brief that has 10 different things that they have to say. And as a creator have a format or a way of creating content that's really unique and memorable to them, right? It might be their style of editing. It might be that they do a lot of really interesting stuff with visual effects, or maybe they're never talking. You'll see this creator, he has a really memorable style. A lot is actually silent, which his audience knows, and you're kind of forced to watch and engage, and you expect it from him, and it makes it memorable from Anthony. So I will let Tess play this one. It's a little hard to see the captions on screen, but you guys can go look it up after. So shareable, we won't play this piece of content again, but obviously a big name makes something shareable, but also there might be something, a helpful tip, something that's really funny and humorous, right? Like I think we love the moment when Hallie throws the toilet paper behind her. It was not scripted, something we didn't tell her to do. She just authentically did it. And we definitely found that it made it more shareable. And, things that she says January, February, March, and everything after that. Like it's funny, and it creates this conversation point and an unexpected moment that makes something more shareable. And then the last piece is really creating format and finding influencers with a concept that is scalable. And I think this is what was really helpful for the Wet January campaign, is that there was this nugget of an idea of flipping Dry January on its head, and we could take that to a number of creators and let them scale it in their own voice. We provide some thought starters of hooks and things to say or not say, but every creator really has the ability to scale a message for their own audience in a unique way that's ownable to them. So this creator creates a lot of content, just like what you're about to see, sitting on his couch, talking to camera, but he's a comedian. So there's lots of kind of funny interactions that are really unique to him. And it's different from all the other content that you see, but it has this same tying message around Wet January. So I'll let Tess play this last.
So many people are doing Dry January, but you need to get wet. Don't be a freak. We're talking about wiping with Goodwipes. But if you need to take a break from drinking, you do you. But what you need to stop using is TP. It's too dry. And remember that time a little piece of it accidentally got caught in your undergarments when you were on that date, and sorry for bringing that up. But now you never have to worry about that again. Plus, they're flushable. Sewer and septic safe, sweetie. Plus, I know you're a thong girly. Wear it with ease, if you know what I mean. And your man can use it too, thank God. Remember when you did his laundry and you saw... Never mind. Sorry for bringing that up. Dry paper isn't cutting it. Get wet this January. And every month after. With Goodwipes.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to finish with just a further step back of what do we look for when we think about creating a campaign around creators. And I think the number one most important thing is authentic brand love. And for us, if a creator immediately is like, hey, can I talk about using Goodwipes on my face or under my armpits? We're like, nope. They don't love the brand for what we are known for, which is using it for your butt. If a creator can't answer really quickly, what's your favorite Goodwipes product? Your Goodwipes scent, right? That's a pretty big red flag for us to know that they're not really using the product and they don't really love it. So we often try to, even if a creator might not be using us already, reach out to them a few months in advance, send them the product, give them the chance to use and really be, adopt into the routine, and then create content down the road with them. Second thing is, I think a solid niche has proven better for us at Goodwipes than working with more general lifestyle creators. And I think this partially has to do with what your media strategy is. If you're working with creators that you're then going to put whitelisting and sparking behind the content, and you know that those creators have unique niches. So we work with creators that are obviously, focused on IBS and gut health issues. We also work with some that are clean, non-toxic products, other ones that are more focused on running and athletics. And, runners love to talk about going to the bathroom and how Goodwipes fit into the routine. So I think for us, we found that it's okay and actually a benefit to work with creators that have maybe a more narrow niche, rather than something that's just a general lifestyle creator. I think they can make content that feels more relatable to their audience when they know their audience really, really well. Third thing, consistency in views does really matter. We don't have the ability to force a piece of content to have a certain number of views unless you're whitelisting it. And so this is where Modash is really helpful in spending time in the platforms to look at a creator and to see, okay, what on average views do their videos generate on platform, right? Like we would rather work with creators that have a consistent amount of views instead of like a one-hit wonder, 1 in every 10 videos pops off. It feels like it's too big of a risk for us, especially as a smaller brand that doesn't have, a ton of creators to work with every month. And we really need to have some proven performers. Fourth point is creator versus influencer. And this might be a hot topic, but I think it's important. Some people are really good at influencing and bringing their narrative and their personal endorsement, and other folks are better at being more of a true creator with editing and visual effects. And obviously there's talent that can fill both arms really, really well. But some campaigns, and depending on where the content is going to show up, if you're putting paid behind it or it's only living organically, you need to kind of approach with this lens of, okay, am I looking for them to bring their personal endorsement, or am I looking for some strong video effects and, editing style that's going to be more in this like creator landscape that would perform differently and potentially be better for like catching attention rather than converting. One thing I want to talk about is our main metric we look at is view through rate, specifically 25% view through rate. And that's just for us. But what we found is what we measure as success by is, are they getting not just into those first 2 to 3 seconds of a video, or are they sticking along long enough to get to at least 25 to 50% of the video, which is really important to us because that's where kind of the meat of the content typically lives, is beyond those first few seconds. Last things Tess has touched on, but I think are really important to leave with, is a brief over a script we found really works well. And, that taking the time is worth it to customize that brief for each creator. And if you can't do it for each, maybe you have, per niche. If you have more of a, clean girl creator versus a gut health creator versus a running creator, kind of tweaking that brief a little bit does go a long way. So you can kind of think about how they would approach it and think about how their audience typically wants to see content. And then last but not least, like for us, an A+ management team for the influencer is really important. If a person is hard to work with and their team is hard to work with, they're not being responsive, they're not allowing us to engage with the creator themselves, that is honestly makes for poor content on the output. So I think for us, we really look for, and you can usually tell for the first few emails, like, is this person have a good team behind them? Is this going to be a fun process and, easy to work with? Or is this going to be pulling teeth? And if it's the latter, we typically try not to work with those teams. I think that is it. And then we can flip it back for some questions.
Can I just say I'm still laughing from the content. So thank you so much for sharing them. And can I just say as well, the comments, it seems like a lot of people are butt white fans. So guys, thank you so much for your participation.
Yay!
One particular comment made me smile is that they were sold when they saw that it smells just like Aruba, which I mean, I would be sold on that fact as well. So absolutely love that. Okay, so we do have time for a couple of questions. So are you guys ready for the first one?
Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, first question. How did you know you were doing something right when it comes to campaigns? Thank you, Anna.
Great question.
Who
I think audience sentiment is like really like seeing people's reactions just naturally on organic is so nice. And yes, you can't like necessarily have a metric about that, but just like how people are receiving the campaign, how people, the shareability, the saves, the comments. That's what I look at because I love being in social. But I'll let Meredith add like what she thinks makes a campaign successful in her eyes as an SVP.
Yeah, I would say the same things, honestly, like content shares, saves, that engagement, and are we anecdotally getting a lot of folks reaching out to us? We're a small team. And so when we have folks reaching out saying, I saw your campaign with Hallie, it was so cool, or DMing us. And obviously, we did see a lot of really organic growth to our social following, and not every campaign is designed to do that. But for us, that's what we were hoping for. And so that was, a nice success metric to see that like our following grew, I think about 30% over the course of the last 4 or 5 months, really, as we've kind of brought influencer marketing into the fold.
I guess it's also about who's mentioning Goodwipes and, who's talking about you as well, which is, a great aspect. Right. Next question. Thank you so much. By the way, we will be holding a Q&A session at the end. So if your question is not answered, we will certainly be holding a Q&A section. So next one. Were you worried about the reputational risk working with someone like Hallie? Great question. Thank you, Yasmin. Meredith, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay. I would say it's definitely something we talked about. And, we wanted to, part of our brand is about crushing taboos and doing things a little bit differently and on the edge. And so for us, we weren't worried about Hallie. We knew that the potential biggest risk was that would people think we were trying to promote drinking.
Yeah.
And, we were very careful in that respect. And Hallie, I saw a lot of questions around like, how did you pick Hallie? Hallie is very much known for drinking martinis. She has a podcast called Extra Dirty, which we thought worked well for us as we're trying to talk about being extra clean. So there was a lot of kind of like wordplay that we could have with Hallie. But we were definitely, I would say we had our alerts up, but, it's always a good conversation that we have. And, we have an amazing PR team that helps guide us of any potential risks. But I would say we weren't worried about Hallie at all. It was really important to us to think about how do we make sure the narrative is not Goodwipes is promoting drinking. It's Goodwipes is promoting wiping wet.
Got it. Tess, anything to add?
I just think there's always a risk, no matter who you in influencer marketing, no matter who you work with. And yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. But when you have people promoting your brand, you can't always control like what they do outside of the brand. So
yes, of course. Okay, we have another question. Can you give us a ballpark on what you spend on influencer creators if you're engaging with 30 to 50 a month, especially as a small brand? Great question.
I think it's the wild, wild west sometimes to what creators are getting paid and what their rates are. I try to create my own benchmark internally based on like who we've worked with in the past. And it ranges. Like we've, anywhere from a couple of $100s for a post all the way to a couple $1,000s a post. It just kind of depends on like what our campaign deliverables are. And sometimes like where we want to, maybe go big with someone that we think they could be like a great partner of the brand or they'll intro us into a new audience. So yeah, it just kind of depends. I don't know if that's a great answer, but
you work with people on a gifting basis for a while until converting them into a long-term paid partnership.
totally. Like Meredith said, we want them to be natural users of the brand.
Sure.
So sometimes we get people coming to us being like, hey, I've been buying you in Target for 2 years and I'm a mom and I have I have 20,000 followers on Instagram. We're like, cool, let's do something together. Because we know they just have that brand love, and that goes such a long way. Like, you can tell the difference if someone's actually using your product versus they're like, here's this, like, So gifting is a huge thing, and engaging with people over, inviting them to things, sending them PR boxes, getting them plugged in is important.
I have a burning question for you, and I'm dying to know. Celebrities, who is using Goodwipes? The biggest celebrity. I want to know.
We know Shaq uses them, which is a good thing. We're 40% larger than any other wipes on the market. We know Shaq uses them. Khloe Kardashian has given us a shout out before, which is fun. Tess, who am I missing?
I mean, there's definitely some like hidden gems. Like,
the Jonas Brothers have us on their tour bus.
Yeah, we're on their rider apparently, which is like what you tell venues you need to have, and Goodwipes is on there, so that's very fun.
Great, I love that. I'm gonna go and get myself a whole load of Goodwipes because Chloe uses it. So thank you so much. That concludes session 1. Tess and Meredith, thank you so much. I believe, Tess, you're going to stick around for our game.
Stick around, yes.
Great. Thank you so much, Meredith.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we hear from our next speaker, Nara Wright from Oddball, let's just take 5 to 10 minutes, have just a little bit of fun. So now I'm going to get you guys to finish the sentence. That's the game. And all you need to do is drop your answers in the chat to the right. And don't forget, we will be sending merch to our most noisiest participants. So Tess, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's fire up the first sentence, please. Okay. I love these kind of games.
I'm nervous.
I know, so am I. This is like anticipation. Okay. Influencer marketing in one emoji is ... Tess, what is it in one emoji?
I think it's like the face that's like, you're like kind of always feeling a little wacky, and like things are happening a million miles a second.
I think mine's the head explosion. Like,
yes, that's also a good one.
I love look at the chat. We've got so many.
Katarina, that's the one I was thinking of. Exactly. That little
Wild West. Yeah. I mean, I think these are all winners, but I think I think your one's the winner. I'm seeing a lot of the tonguey.
I love the cowboy though. It really is the Wild Wild West, you guys, for influencer marketing. I think everyone probably can say that.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, I think I'm ready for the next sentence. Something people overcomplicate in influencer marketing is
the brief.
Yeah. The brief can be overcomplicated, especially when they send scripts.
Yes, scripts, or just too much stuff. Like, I even get overwhelmed if I try to put myself in the creator's position. If I got a brief with like 1,000 things, how would I feel? And yeah, you really, just don't overcomplicate it. Don't add too much. Make it simple for them.
Absolutely. It's also the ones where they send over talking points and there's like 20 on there and they're like, you must include all of them. It's like, how? It's only a 2 minute
Absolutely not. No way.
Okay, I think brief wins. Everyone is saying revisions, brief. Yeah, I think brief. Okay, let's move on to the next sentence. What have you got for us? If influencer marketing was a movie title, it would be called ... Saving influencer marketers because it can be painful.
I'm going to say The Matrix. Sometimes I'm like, what world am I living in? This is what a crazy life we live, that we have people making videos for products. It's fun. It
is a bit of a Matrix. I also got like kind of like a cowboy theme, I reckon. The biggest ever. That's funny. Oh my God, there's one battle after another.
Wait, that's so good.
The Devil Wears Prada. Fight Club. Oh, I love these. Fight Club's my favorite. Shirt.
So good.
No misfits. Amazing. Approvals of the Matrix. I think a lot of people like the Matrix. So being broke Brooke. Oh gosh. Sleepless in spreadsheets. Okay, I relate to that one. All right, let's fire up the next sentence. I'm having too much fun with this. The most random creator club I've seen work well is ... Tess, what's yours?
Oh my gosh, this is a hard one.
The random collab. There's so many. What's what people saying?
Yeah, I want to see if anyone gives me a good, it triggers my inspiration.
Heinz and Smoothie King.
Oh yeah, I loved the Cardi B and Bobby campaign. That was so good. That Meredith and I talked about that when it came out. We were like, wow, that was brilliant. So good.
Katy Perry and Deliveroo. Well, she is a firework. She is a cracker. Love her. Pepsi and Kendall. Oh, should we not mention that one? That was a bit of a random one. I like do you know what? The Gemma Collins and Canva. I think that's a winner for me because I was not anticipating that one, but it just works so well. Do you know Gemma Collins?
No.
The GC is a queen. After this webinar, go and Google her because her designers are golden in my neck of the woods. Okay, next one. Okay. Anticipation. Next sentence. The most overhyped trend in influencer marketing is... Oh.
I think CTAs can kind of be overhyped, like making your influencer really be like salesy versus them really talking about like the use cases. It depends on the campaign, but I think sometimes when you're like, go do this thing like right away, people miss out on like the actual product efficacy and like what it means to that influencer. So yeah.
Some people are saying ASMR. I'm gonna have to disagree because I kind of like I just have a thing for ASMR. It just makes me sleepy. It makes me go to sleep. Paid ads, people saying, get ready with me's. Shopping grocery hauls. Oh, interesting. Do you think they're just a bit outdated maybe because like they've been done to death?
Yeah, I think some people are tired of like big influencers doing hauls. It feels very like,
I
don't know, pay attention to how everyone else is feeling. I don't need to see your Hermes haul.
I've got one. For me, it's like influencers. I mean, I can say this because I was an influencer. Starting a video being like, this is the best product I've ever used. And it's probably like the 10th best product they've used that week has been the best. I think that's for me. I can say that because I used to be an influencer. So, okay, next sentence, please. Let's do this. I'm loving. You guys are loving the sentences. Chasing creators for content feels like... Oh gosh, this can be... Yeah. Tess, give me a word. Give me a sentence.
Painful at times.
Yeah, waiting for a week of sun in the UK.
That's so good.
Rowing in custard, wrangling a gorilla. Oh, that is so... Rowing in the custard is funny. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think rowing in custard is my favorite. A year without rain.
I love the waiting for rain in this drought, useless and disappointing. Name that movie.
Cinderella.
Gabby, I love that movie.
Cinderella.
Yeah, Cinderella.
Yes. I'm a big Hilary Duff fan. I'm going to go see her in London. I cannot wait. Okay, next question. Sentence. Sentences. Yeah, Cinderella story. We've got a few Cinderella story fans in the chat. Let me know if you like Hilary Duff as well. I'm a big fan. Okay, the metrics that tells the real story, but no one talks about is...
I think Meredith talked about this, the view through rate. You just seeing how long people stay on a video. I think that's really important.
I also think
if it's like grabbed the attention of the audience.
Yeah, also like brand awareness. Like sometimes like on the screen, the metrics that, maybe there wasn't as much, I don't know, like engagement perhaps, but actually in the real world, people are like maybe talking about it or they know a bit of the brand. I think CTR, people say CTR, views time, clicks, stories, it's a bit of a mix here.
Yeah, there's something you can't measure about like just what people are saying. Like we got so many photos of people in New York taking photos with our billboard, and that's like so hard to measure, but just the excitement of that is a cool thing.
Absolutely. Okay, right. Well, I think that concludes our game. Tessa, thank you so much for that. That was so much fun, and we will be seeing you for the Q&A section. So if you've got a question for Tess, then do stick around for our Q&A session, which is at the end of this webinar. Tess, thank you so much.
Yes.
All right, are you ready for session 2? We have Inara Roy from Oddball in the house who's going to show us how to break the algorithm with some unexpected partnerships. Again, there will be an opportunity to ask Inara a couple of questions towards the end of her segment, so do please pop your questions to the right of this chat. Inara, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hi, Simone. Thank you so much. Also, we match. Loving it. We're matching the Modash rebrand.
Definitely.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Excellent.
All right. Can you guys see it?
Let's bring it up on screen. There we go. Right, take it away, Nara. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so grateful you took the time out of your day, and I'm really excited to be presenting on this topic. So what I'm sharing about today is breaking the algorithm with unexpected creator partnerships, how to escape hyper-specific algorithms, reach new audiences, and create fun, high-performing content that people actually want to consume. Okay, so a little bit about me. My name is Inara. I'm a LinkedIn creator. I'm a social media manager at Oddball, which is a fruit jelly snack brand that just launched nationwide at Target. And I'm also a freelancer in the food and beverage space. So a little bit about me, some personal highlights. Prior to Oddball, I was at a brand called Sweet Lawrence, which is actually the #1 natural cookie dough brand in the US. And while I was there, we were actually awarded Inc. magazine Best of Social Media 2025. I helped them generate over 65 million views, 3 million engagements, and we were featured in Ad Age, PR Week, and more. I also helped lead the full social and influencer strategy for our limited edition collabs with Barbie and Hello Kitty. And in my career, I've worked with over 1,500 creators across gifted, organic, and paid collabs. Okay, so before we jump in, I wanted to set the scene a little bit with one of my favorite creator partnerships probably I've ever done. And I think it kind of sums up everything I'm going to be talking about today. So at Sweet Lawrence, we worked with a creator named Jersey Joe, and he went into a store at Wegmans and put all these cookies in his cart and just kind of danced through the cookie dough aisle. And I know we have a global audience here, so if you don't know the lore behind Wegmans, it's basically the go-to grocery store in New Jersey, and they also happen to carry all of our products. So we worked on this really fun video together, and I'm going to play it twice. I want to see if you guys can catch something really important.
Eat 'em up while you have a chance. Now do the veggie dance. Now do the veggie dance. Now do the veggie dance. Yum yum. Eat 'em up.
Okay, I'm going to play it one more time.
Eat 'em up while you have a chance. Now do the veggie dance. Now do the veggie dance. Now do the veggie dance. Yum yum. Eat 'em up.
Okay, watching this still gives me so much joy every single time I watch it. But yeah, so that part at the end where he got the cashier's reaction was actually completely unscripted. We gave him a pretty simple brief overall, and we were like, just go in the store and make it completely your own. And he just happened to get that part all the way at the end. And that was actually the most talked about part in the entire comments section. And this video actually reached over 1.6 million people on TikTok and Instagram. And here were some of the fun comments. I'm glad this was the first thing on my feed. The look on the cashier's face and the collab we didn't know we needed. Okay, so let's take a step back. And what does social media even look like and feel like in 2026? Because I think a lot of us can agree it's a pretty hard space right now for brands to stand out. And there's a lot of the same, right? A lot of the same content formats being rinsed and repeated, a lot of rage bait headlines, and a lot of AI slop. And in general, people are tired. I mean, it feels like everywhere where you go, you're being served an ad, you're constantly being sold to. And in general, there's also just a lot of brand fatigue. And at the end of the day, we just want to feel, right? I mean, think about why you even come to social media in the first place. You want to escape, you want to immerse, you want to feel inspired, entertained, and dare I say surprised, which is why there's so much power in being unexpected. Okay, so let's talk about the algorithm trap. because a lot of people think the algorithm is broken, but it might just be your creator partnerships. So when you're first starting out as either a creator or a brand, it's actually really, really helpful to stay within a specific niche, because that's what's going to help you initially grow. And that's what helps the algorithm identify what your content even is and which audiences to serve it to. But the problem is that after a while, brands find it hard to escape outside of that niche, especially because algorithms are so hyper specific these days. And so what happens is that brands end up speaking to the same audiences over and over again, and they wonder why their reach and engagement aren't improving. The solution is being unexpected and having a little bit of fun along the way. So what does this all boil down to? Our job as social media and influencer marketers, I think, comes down to three main things, among a bunch of other things, of course. But the first is to meet audiences where they're at. So figure out, what are they actually interested in? How do they want to be communicated with? And what kind of content are they already consuming? The second, which is the hardest part in my opinion, and two things that feel like they're constantly at odds with each other, is to create content that performs. So things that are actually going to get results and make the algorithm happy, but also staying true to your brand's DNA and telling the brand's story. And then the third is to find the right creators and let them create, let them do the storytelling for you. So my first lesson is to branch outside of your niche. So a lot of brands think, okay, we're a pet food brand, so let's find all the best pet creators. Or we're a beauty brand, so let's work with all the best beauty creators. And while they certainly should be in your roster, if you want to stand out, look outside of your niche. So let's say, for example, you're a hot sauce brand. People are going to be following you because they like hot sauce. They like your spicy recipe content. And let's say you work with a skateboarding creator. That's going to surprise and delight both of your audiences, because the people that follow that skateboarding creator, they're going to be like, who is this hot sauce brand that's on my feed? And the same for your audience. They're going to now get introduced to the skateboarding creator. So I think it's a win-win for both, and it actually surprises and delights both of your audiences. So the three things that you can kind of ask yourself when you're trying to figure out how to do this for your brand is, A, what are the overlapping interests that your target audience has? So aside from the brand or the industry that your product is in, what else do they like? Do they like art? Do they like fitness, comedy, sports, fashion? And one of the ways you can find this out is to do some research, right? So see what your fans are actually talking about in the comments section. What kind of content are they also engaging with? And something that I think we forget we can do sometimes is literally just DM or email one of your fans. Ask them what they want to see from you. What else are they interested in? And then the third is to, once you figure out what those niches are, go directly to the source. Find the creators that are already making really engaging content in those spaces, because they've already done the work. They've already built up an entire audience around that niche. Okay, so at Sweet Loren's, our strategy was to stop your scroll with cookies, but not in the way that you would expect. And we, of course, posted a lot of really fun, delicious cookie recipes and worked with recipe creators, but we also worked with creators of all different kinds of backgrounds and talents. So some of which were tiny bacon creators, custom rug tufters, fashion designers, bedazzlers, nail artists, realistic cake artists. So I think just all of these kinds of creators really helped highlight our product, but in their own unique ways. And so when we actually did our Barbie launch, one of the creators that we worked with was named Hypnomotion, and his whole niche is around stop motion animation. And so I think he really helped the campaign come to life through this really fun video where he used Legos to kind of show what the process is like of baking the cookies. So I'm going to go ahead and play that. So yeah, super fun, a little bit of ASMR in there. And fun fact, that video actually took almost 3 months from start to finish because he actually lived in Europe. So we had to ship him the product. And then of course, stop motion animation is such a time and labor intensive process. So yeah, it's just super cool knowing what goes in behind the scenes, sometimes even to a 10-second video. Okay, so prior to Sweet Loren's, I was actually at a brand called Stockout Dreamery. And so they were a vegan cheese startup from Sweden. So think like the Oatly of cheese. And I was brought on to help them make a splash in New York City. So they were the go-to dairy-free cheese option in over 100 bagel and burger spots across the city. And when you think of vegan cheese, it's not necessarily the most sexiest thing right away, right? You don't automatically think melty, gooey, craveable, indulgent, but that's exactly what we want it to do. And so when we looked at our competitors, they were pretty much all exclusively working with vegan creators, which we of course did as well, but we figured that A, they were already consuming vegan cheese, and then B, if they were, they likely already had their favorite. So our strategy as a brand was to cast a little bit wider. We were targeting the dairy-free, the lactose intolerant, and as we like to say, the dairy-free curious. So we worked with creators of all different kinds. We worked with New York City historians, we worked with comedians, and we worked with street style foodies who were just sharing really fun and indulgent food across the city, but they weren't necessarily vegan or dairy free. So this is one of my favorite collabs that we worked on. It's actually a creator named Burrata Babe, and she's a comedian. And yes, her name is literally Burrata Babe. So all of her niche was actually about how much she loved cheese, and she visited all the best Italian spots in New York City. So I'm going to show you guys the video.
Denise, where are we going?
We are going to Smash. I feel as a dairy lover, I should be the one to see if the cheese is legit. It's very lively here. I'm excited. We're here. It's huge. This is for the vegans. Remember, I'm doing this for you. I'm ordering a mushroom burger and dairy-free cheese. I had to come down here. I feel like Inspector Gadget in my coat. I need to inspect how the cheese melts on the burger. Go ahead, do your thing. It's all vegan. I would have no idea. He's prepping for the cheese. It looks very legit. This is vegan. Maybe I'm a vegan.
All right. So yeah, as you can tell, this was not scripted. She just completely went in, did her own thing. I think she killed it. And I think as an audience member, it's really fun just seeing her real reaction to having a vegan burger for the first time. So yeah. Okay, so if I was to start a campaign from scratch, this is how I would do it in Modash. And if you guys don't know, Modash has this incredible AI creator search, and you can search pretty much any custom phrase. You can use all their custom filters for location, size, engagement rate, and they'll actually search the internet for over 350 million public profiles across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So I gave 2 examples here to walk you guys through it. But let's say you're looking for a nail artist that's based in London. You can literally search exactly that, and it'll start to pull up all of the best matches. And let's say you want a macro creator, so only over 200,000 followers and an engagement rate of over 2%. So it'll pull up all the people that match those criteria. And this is a creator that Simone actually suggested. So as you can see, she's based in London, so it matches all of the criteria you put in. And she actually has over a 7% engagement rate. So I think that's a perfect fit. And then kind of like the other scenario we were talking about is, let's say you're that hot sauce brand and you wanted to work with a skateboarding creator. You can literally type in skateboarder in New York, and it'll even give you some custom suggestions if you want to make it a little more specific. And the cool thing is you can actually even drop in an image in there. So let's say you already have an image of a cool person that's skateboarding in New York City. You can drag and drop that image. And also, of course, if you want to really make sure, you can add in all these extra filters, and then it'll find you all the best results. Oops, sorry. And one other cool thing, which is all the way at the end, is basically that little clock feature. You can also click that to make sure that they're actually active. So you can make sure that they've actually posted content in the last 3, 6, 9 months. Okay, so the second lesson is that there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is that there's no template. So I think a lot of people come to webinars looking for an exact formula to follow. So which creator should I work with? And what formats convert the best? But your strategy should always be unique to your specific brand, goals, audience, and industry. Now, the good news is that there's no template, which means that you can make it completely your own. You can carve out a space on the internet that feels exactly like your brand and find all the right creators to kind of fit into that space. So my rule of thumb is 3 things. First, look at what your competitors are doing. What are they posting? Where are they posting? And how often are they posting? Second is start to identify a pattern. Who are they working with and what kinds of creators? And who are they not working with? And the third is do the opposite. Okay, well, not always exactly the opposite, but still, you can find that gray space and experiment. I mean, the worst thing that happens is you try and it doesn't work out, but isn't that what marketing is all about, right? Trying and learning. So this is a little bit of an example. So it's not always just the content that's unexpected. Sometimes it's also the platform that you're activating on. So as someone who personally uses LinkedIn a lot, I noticed that there were pretty much no D2C brands activating on the platform. It was all B2B, which is understandable because it's a B2B platform. But I also noticed that the platform in general was shifting a lot. It was starting to loosen up a little bit. People were posting more memes and fun. And, I think they were searching for a little bit more relatability on the platform. And so we started by just gifting organically on the platform. We would gift creators and customers and fans anytime they had, let's say they started a new job or they hit a new follower milestone, we would send them a surprise little package of goodies. And who doesn't love cookies showing up at their doorstep? So I saw how much genuine joy this was bringing people and how much it was resonating. So we decided to test something out and we launched our first ever LinkedIn creator campaign. It was called #CookieBreak. And the idea of it was that, most people spend so much time working and we often work through our lunch and we don't actually take a moment to stop, take a break, and just have a little sweet treat in the middle of the day. And so, as I said, it was an experiment. We had no idea how it was going to go. And we started with just 3 creators. And we asked all of them to take a picture of their workspace with a plate of cookies. And to our surprise, within the first 24 hours, it already hit 250,000 views. And that's how I knew that we might have been onto something. And so overall, the campaign hit over 650,000 impressions. And people were commenting that seeing an ad for cookies on LinkedIn made their day. And this was a comment that I really loved, which is a cookie partnership. Now that's a 2025 goal I can get behind. And Pretty Little Marketer even made a feature that said, "Is LinkedIn the future of influencer marketing?" Which basically called out how platforms like Instagram and TikTok were feeling really crowded when it came to the creator space, and that LinkedIn was a really untapped opportunity, especially for D2C brands, and it still is. So for your brand, it may not necessarily be LinkedIn, but that could mean posting on Threads or Pinterest or YouTube. It all kind of depends on what's going to fit for your brand. So after that campaign went live, we actually ended up launching a limited edition collab with Hello Kitty later in the summer. And the flavor was birthday cake. So the whole theme was around celebration and sweetness. And so we had the idea to launch a second campaign. And this one was all about celebrating your wins. Because I think, again, tying it back to work, a lot of us tend to just work so much and we are just go, go, go. And we never actually stop and acknowledge how much we've actually accomplished. So we asked some of our favorite creators to kind of show how do they celebrate when they just finished a big project or a big milestone. And if you think about it, Sanrio is actually one of the biggest franchise partners in the world. And I was sure that when we pitched it to them, they were going to be like, wait, what? Why LinkedIn? But they were actually really open to it. And I think the campaign turned out really sweet and unexpected, especially because a lot of people probably wouldn't expect to open up their LinkedIn feed and see Hello Kitty on there. So yeah, the campaign overall got over 250,000 views. And, as you can see, the Hello Kitty is photoshopped into all these little images. And I love this comment from Adrian, which said, "I didn't find Sweet Lauren's Hello Kitty birthday cake cookies on TikTok Shop. I found them on LinkedIn, and now they're in my fridge." So I think that really goes to show the power of product discovery, even on a B2B platform. And I think it also just shows that even people that work 9 to 5 are still consumers. They still love cookies and they're still looking for inspiration. So you'll never know what kind of areas or platforms you can reach your audience in new and fun ways. Okay, so my third and final lesson, which I think is the most important, is that it should always be relationships first, partnerships second. And this is something that now that I'm like a LinkedIn creator myself, I've really gotten to see both sides of the coin of what it's like being an influencer marketer and working with creators, as well as being a creator working with influencer managers. And I think this part is really the key to making a successful campaign. So just like Drake and Hotline Bling, a good influencer marketer has about 5 to 10 creators on speed dial. And for me personally, I've worked in multiple different industries. I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in tech, and now food and beverage. And I've actually ended up working with a lot of the same creators multiple times, even in very different industries. Why? Because A, we trust each other, we understand each other creatively because we've already worked together, and because of that, the work consistently performs better. So creators that feel like true partners will consistently go the extra mile and vice versa. And even in influencer marketing, when you start building these relationships, you never know how much they can actually follow you throughout your career. Okay, so how to build relationships that last? Because the best influencer campaigns don't start with a brief, they start with a relationship. So these are some practical ways that you can actually start investing into your creator partnerships. So the first is to treat creators like true partners and co-creators. So shout out Gabriel Gomez because he actually did his last Modash panel on this. So if you want to see that, you guys can find the link after that, and I definitely recommend watching that. But yeah, so build room for creative freedom into the briefs. And I'm not talking at the end of a 10-page brief, you maybe leave a few sentences at the end. I think as influencer marketers, we should give them the what and the why, but let them own the how. Let them figure out the best way to bring the campaign to life in a way that feels authentic to them, their content, and that's going to resonate with their audience. And celebrate their wins, right? Hype up their sponsored posts. Be the first person to like and comment when a campaign goes live, and also engage with them outside of paid campaigns. And this part is super important. Something I've come to really appreciate as a creator myself is be transparent. Share the results after the campaigns. So how many link clicks did it actually drive? How many reports were downloaded because of it? How many sales did it drive? That kind of information is always going to help the campaign become even stronger because it helps the creator improve their content. And as a brand, it'll also help you actually improve your briefs to make sure that everything is clear and concise. And lastly, move beyond one-off partnerships. I think this is just going to help both the brand and the creator immensely because it goes from just a one-off thing and it starts to actually build trust with the creator's audience as well as with the creator and the brand. All right, so grab your hammers, besties, because now you're equipped to break the algorithm. And it all comes down to three main things, which is first, to branch out. So find creators in different niches to keep your content fun and exciting, but also to get past that algorithm, the super specific algorithms, and to reach new audiences. B is to do the unexpected. So experiment with new content formats, creators, and even platforms. And third is to build relationships. Long-term impact, I promise you, will always, always, always win over short-term wins. All right, that's all from me. Thank you for listening and sashay away.
Okay, I have my hammer because I am ready to smash that algorithm after that presentation, Anara.
Oh my!
I'm ready. It's my son's game. Well, it's his little.
That's iconic. I don't have an actual hammer, but it's okay. We all have our hypothetical hammers.
I wanted a pink one, but anyway, we can't all be on brand. Thank you so much, Now. That was amazing. I do have a burning question for you, and I'm curious. So when you're at Sweet Lauren's and they changed the handle of their TikTok to Ryan, was that legit? Do you know the person who actually did that?
Yes. Okay, so that was my lovely, amazing intern at the time. Her name was Ryan. And so what happened was, I think it was a Thursday or Friday, and I was about to leave for vacation. We had this whole launch set up. We were launching this new monster flavor. And she texted me and she said, Inara, I accidentally changed the TikTok name to my name, and I can't change it back for 7 days. So I wasn't really freaking out. I actually thought it was pretty funny, but obviously I had to put my manager hat on and be like, it's okay, don't worry, we're going to figure it out. And so we decided to actually lean in and just embrace it and just start creating content around it, right? I mean, I think at the end of the day, as a brand, you can just have fun with it. And sometimes, if you make a mistake, you just embrace it. So over the weekend, she started creating TikToks because she's amazing and she just started grinding them out. And she got over, I think, 2 million views just that weekend alone.
Wow.
And then I posted about it on my LinkedIn. And so then that went viral on LinkedIn as well. And so then it was people coming from LinkedIn, going to TikTok, from TikTok going to LinkedIn. And it was just the whole thing. And I think people, we just had a lot of fun with it. And I think the audience really enjoyed that as well. So,
I mean, we're all human at the end of the day. And I actually did think it was like an oops moment. Brands like stage and oops, like, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was that. But
a lot of people did actually. Yeah. And then I actually had to end up sharing that I was on vacation because I'm kind of like, I guess, a private person. I don't really like to share that stuff. But I actually had to come out and be like, guys, I'm on vacation right now. My first vacation in a whole year. I promise I would not plan this right now. But I think it's being great. So
I recently did. So I'm a big Machine Gun Kelly fan. And
Yeah.
I saved a couple of Machine Gun Kelly hardcore rapping, you know, the ones with Eminem, to the Modash playlist. So whoever was browsing that playlist that day, they would have got a dose of Machine Gun Kelly. To be cringe is to be free at the end of the day. Amy? Absolutely.
Yes.
Right, we do have a couple of questions for you. So should we just quickly get into those?
Totally.
All right, let's bring the first one up. Do you have a standard pitch to reach to this influencers about the campaign and explain them? I work with tech and crypto, and sometimes it's difficult for non-tech and non-crypto influencers to actually fall in love with the brand.
Ooh, okay. Very interesting. So I would say, we've been talking a lot about briefs and, we don't want 10-page briefs, but I would say if you're going to invest your time into making a deck and sending them something to review, maybe create 2 to 3 slides just about what your product is. Share what the highlights are, share how it can actually benefit their lives as well as their audience's lives. I think especially making it really visual. I mean, even for cookies, right? It's pretty like self-explanatory, but I still would send decks to just explain, hey, like this is who we are. This is what makes us different. And, obviously it's different with crypto. It's not like you can kind of send them something to try out beforehand. But I think if you just take that time beforehand, maybe even hop on a call with them, if they're open to it, 10, 15-minute phone call, and kind of taking that time to walk them through it, I think will make a really big difference.
I think jumping the call is really important, what you've just mentioned. I think a lot of us, they forget that's an option, but also personalizing the brief. I think personalizing it, making sure that it's tailored to them so that it's in their language that they can understand, then I think that can be really powerful. Okay, next question. Thank you, Carmen, for that. I'm also interested, do you pay them in crypto or cash? Like,
And I was like, you can maybe send them some crypto for them to try out.
Next question. Hi, Nara. What advice would you give a small, scrappy brand with limited budget? We're gifting like crazy, but want to level up. I love a scrappy startup.
Love it.
Love that. What would you do?
I totally feel you on this. I've pretty much only worked at very small, scrappy budgets or small, scrappy startups with limited budgets. But I actually love that because I think that there's so much like you can do and kind of make something come to life from nothing. So I would say my advice is micro creators. I mean, I think, when you think of influencer marketing, some brands think, okay, like it's not going to be impactful unless we work with the biggest celebrities. I don't think that's true. I think we're actually finding that micro creators have so much pull in their own communities. And I think even if you can, tuck away a little bit of a budget for creator partnerships, start small, start building it up, right? Maybe work with nano creators that have 1,000 followers, 2,000 followers, but they're in your target audience and, they're trusted, they use your products because you're already gifting, right? And I think always kind of just work your way up. So that's my.
I also think if you are like kind of product seeding, don't feel disheartened if an influencer comes back to you first time being like, hey, I just don't have the capacity right now, because that's a legit thing. It happens because you can convert into proper hardcore fans, maybe like even 6 months down the road. So I think just foster that relationship, keep it going, and hopefully you get to collaborate with them at some point.
Yeah.
All right.
Totally.
Next question. Do you feel like niche audiences are still as impactful as they once were, or are algorithms now favoring broader, more mass appeal, unexpected content?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think about, so when you actually go on Instagram, what do you see, right? I mean, for me, I see a lot of matcha content. I see a lot of cute cat content, dancing content. So I still think, and for example, if I go on, my friends' feeds, it's very different. They get a lot of, content that they're interested in. So I still do think that our feeds are very hyper specific. But I think, of course, then there's always going to be some feeds or some videos that kind of just are mass appeal and they make it through. So I think that if you can kind of just focus on, like I said in the presentation, which is figuring out what's your brand's niche and then finding creators which are in those different niches, I think that's kind of the best way to go about it.
Absolutely. It's a very good question because I'm seeing twofold. I'm seeing like the out there stuff. I'm also seeing niche creators do really well. So I guess it's just that if you are testing amongst creators, maybe just like kind of test between like the two kind of different categories and testing. I love a good test. Okay, well, that concludes session number 2. Anara, thank you so much. I actually believe you're sticking around for our next game.
Yes.
Okay, guys, a good one. So game number 2, I have, are you ready? A couple of flags. And I want to play a game, which is, for for the next 5-10 minutes, we're going to play red flag, is this one, or green flag, where we'll be unpacking some of the best and slightly unhinged scenarios, deciding what gets a red flag and what gets a green flag. Anara, are you ready to play? And everyone else, are you ready to play? Okay. I think this is going to be a whole load of fun. Okay, let's get the first scenario up if we can, please. A creator's content misses the brief but performs well. Do you approve it anyway?
I think yes. I think that personally, I think yes. Because I think that a brief is just the start, right? But I think you should always expect that a creator is going to take it and make it their own, right? Because if not, then why are you working with that creator? And I think, let's say within a campaign, if you have 10 creators, I think as long as 8 of them are achieving everything you wanted in that brief, but the 2 or 3 maybe don't, and it still performs, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah,
So
I think a green flag. Absolutely. I think a lot of other people think green as well. So a couple of reds, but someone said amber, like a yellow flag, which maybe. Don't have a yellow flag. Okay, next question. You've been reusing the same 10 creators for months because they're reliable. Do you keep going or force yourself to test new ones?
Oh, okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of in this boat. I'm a creature of habit. I think it's a green flag because, like I said, you've been building those, like not just one-off partnerships. You've been kind of working with the same creators, building those relationships. But I think you should also branch out a little bit, right? Yeah. So I think this one's like someone said, the amber flag. Like,
the yellow flag.
I think it's good. Yeah, it's good to keep working with those same creators, build those relationships, but also test new things out. Maybe every month you try out 1 or 2 new creators.
I agree with that. I think having good, strong brand ambassadors is really powerful, but there's nothing wrong in testing some new ones and, finding those newbies. I wish I had a yellow. We'll say yellow for that one. So neither. Okay, next scenario. A creator posts a story instead of a reel. That you agreed on? It actually looks better. Do you say anything? Do you know what? Do you know why I say this? Because
I kind of agree.
Yeah, because if you're paid for a reel, it often is a lot more expensive. So if they posted to their story, I would kindly ask them, that's great, but could you kindly post it as a reel as well? Like, what would you do?
I completely agree. I think that's different than missing the brief. I think that's just like a different deliverable at that point. So I would ask them to share it on their reel.
You've paid money for that reel. You're going to get that reel. They could be quite spenny. So.
Yeah.
Okay, next scenario. A creator asks to try the product for a month before posting. Do you wait or move on to someone else?
I think that's a huge green flag.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only scenario I can imagine is if, let's say, you have a product that's going live specifically within a month and you really need, maybe there's not a big window for them to try it out. But I think overall, this is a huge green flag. I mean, that shows they care about what they're promoting and they're going to be a real user of your products.
I know. Do you know what I hate? When I was an influencer, you get sent like something like a red light therapy mask and they'll be like, oh, we need this in 2 weeks. And it's like, but I need to test it for like 3 months.
Exactly.
So I don't think there's any shame in that. Yeah, green flag, definitely more authentic use. Absolutely. All right, I think the chat agrees. Green. Next scenario, please. This is fun. I like green flag, red flag.
This is fun. We need a pink flag for Modash.
We need a yellow flag. I need to broaden the flags out. The data says smaller creators convert better, but your CEO wants big names. Do you push back? I say yeah.
I think so too.
CEO.
I say if you want big names, you got to have a big budget, which obviously I think is kind of the hardest part for brands. So I would say that, it's about stretching the resources that you have and making the most impact. And I think, if the data is showing that the smaller creators are converting, if you can literally show them the affiliate links or the link, the downloads, all that kind of stuff, then the data's there, right? So
I love that. I just think I'd go back saying, how deep are your pockets? How much
is the budget?
Up? Because if you think this is going to cost a tenner, it ain't going to cost a tenner. I always say that a lot of times small creators have better engagement. They tend to.
Yeah,
Not all, but
I
they
agree.
do. All right, next scenario. I love that. Red flag to the CEO, green to the proposal. I love that summary. I think that's accurate. You're behind on outreach, so you send the same generic DM to 100 creators instead of personalizing, sorry. Do you feel fine about it? I want to cry at this. I want to cry.
I'm not going to blame the marketer because you know what? We're busy and there's always a lot going on, so I get it. But I think that it's just a missed opportunity, right? If you're going to start that connection, start it on a place of personalization because I think it's pretty obvious when you just got a standard note. Like vice versa, right? So if you're a brand and you get creators reaching out and they just sent like a basic ChatGPT response of like, hey, I'd love to try your product. Can we work together? You wouldn't necessarily be interested in that. So I think you have to go that extra mile and make it personalized.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also this is a big thing I notice amongst affiliate marketing. They seem to kind of just shoot at everyone, as many people as they can, do not personalize, and you can tell immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I agree. Do we have another one? To go? I love this game. It's so fun. What's a big red flag for you?
For me?
Yeah.
In influencer marketing? I mean, I think we've been talking about it, but yeah, I definitely agree. Maybe not disclosing ads and big briefs and just not letting creators create, like, not letting them bring their own personal touch.
Yeah. What's a massive green flag? What do you love to see in a creator?
When it feels like them, right? I think the best case scenario is, yeah, the brand's being talked about, but it still feels like the creator. And yeah, I think that's a green flag.
Yeah, I think when you get a creator that's really passionate and they're really on top of their communications, they're, like I said, they're proactive. Even if they want to spend a few time just, trying out a product, I actually think they end up being like the best creators for your brand. I think, not shying away from that. I'm going to look at the comments, actually, see what other people are saying about, I would love to know everyone's red flag, green flags. I just think it's an interesting one because what's suitable for one brand isn't suitable for another. Do you know what I mean? Some people might see, I don't know, like you said, managing the CEO is harder than managing the creators. Oh, that's such a true comment. Such a true comment. Okay, well, I think that actually concludes the second session. Anara, thank you so much. You will be joining us for the Q&A session at the end.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much, guys. This was such an honor. And
that was so much fun.
I'm grateful to chat with you guys in the chat.
We'll see you later. Okay, I am really excited for this next session. This is a massive green flag, this one, because we have Josh from Ogilvy and Carmen from Slate to discuss what's on trend. So be sure to ask your questions using the chat because we'll be running a panel at the end of Josh and Carmen's speech. Josh, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you. And I will get going. And right on this slide, it tells you who I am and what we're about to do here. So thank you, everyone, for having me here. Just a quick overview. I'm Josh Rangel. And in addition to being Carmen's opening act today, I also work on influencer and social strategy. At Ogilvy. And so for this new thing of on trend, I'm going to talk about something that I've been doing mainly in the social strategy space with our clients, the things I've been thinking. And as I've been developing strategies for them, thinking about how this trend or movement kind of can impact and should be impacting influencer marketing. And so it's something that I'm thinking is one of the most underrated and underutilized aspects of influencer marketing right now. So it's about the move from public feeds to private communities. And I'm not going to, private communities aren't anything new. They've been around for a long time, but the way that influencers and brands are showing up in that is relatively new. And a lot of brands actually don't have a strategy for it. So here's what's really going on is influence is quietly migrating off of the public feed into private spaces, untrackable spaces. So thinking, your Discords, your Reddit, your Reddits, your Substack newsletters, Instagram, broadcast channels, etc. And so these are places where standard analytics tools aren't necessarily kind of infiltrated just yet, but something to consider. And a stat that is, when I was doing some research for general social strategies on this, is that 35% of creators are now actively engaging with their most loyal fans through private and exclusive communities in those spaces. And that number is only growing up as there is kind of feed fatigue especially amongst younger generations. So looking at 54% of Gen Z prefer a digital community over the public feeds because it's been performative. It's the For You page has become a fire hose of overwhelming content. So why does this matter? It matters because this is where trust is being built, even more so than in the public spaces. It's where conversations are happening about brands, about services and things like that. And so like somebody says in a Discord server, I tried this brand, it's legit. And that recommendation is going to land a little bit differently than potentially a sponsored post is going to be. A focus group of one, I go to Reddit to do product research. I Google things, sure, but if I really want like real hardcore reviews and what people are thinking about a product or a service, I go to Reddit and I go to these private spaces to get that kind of unfiltered review. It's peer-to-peer, right? We trust our friends, we trust people more than we trust brands. So it's a helpful scenario to have your brand and to have creators who trust your brand have conversations about that. So one of the problems is because it's not immediately measurable or something that these tools are sophisticated for, a lot of brands are ignoring it or aren't investing as much as they potentially could be in it. And so, but just because you can't measure it doesn't necessarily mean it's not real and those conversations are not happening there. It just means that you're actually leaving influence on the table. So what does this mean for you? And so 3 things that you can think about on how to engage in these particular spaces. So one, also, I don't know if you could tell, I like GIFs, I like memes, sorry, or I hope you enjoy them. The number one thing you can do is map where your creators actually live. This seems like table stakes. It sounds super simple, but we get into the habit of thinking, all right, what's your TikTok following? What's your Instagram following? Can you do XYZ public posts? Can you do 3 posts? Can you do a longer term kind of program, things like that? But should we be digging a little bit deeper into where the other spaces that they have? Do they have a newsletter? Are they active on Discord? Do they have a space where they engage their private communities? Do they have an active Instagram broadcast channel where they talk about a particular topic or topics? So dig deeper in there. And while that audience might be a little bit smaller than what their following is, that is higher impact there. It's a more trusted space. So you have a little bit more impact and a little bit more one-to-one. So while it may not have necessarily the reach, the impact there is great. I would rather, in my opinion, and I espouse this with clients, I'd rather reach 10,000 diehard fans than have 1 million followers who maybe 3% are actually seeing that particular content. Number 2, negotiate a community residency, not just for a one-off post, but thinking about instead of doing 2 or 3 public posts, thinking about one of those activities or one of those engagements being something that is in their private community, a quick 5-minute interview, a potential just review, something like that, something that's a little bit fundamentally different than what you may see on your public facing feed, something that is going to interest your follower. Again, lower reach, but higher impact and potentially higher intent to try your brand through that creator. And number 3, could potentially do, again, this varies from brand to brand with how much budget they have, how much they have from if you're a social media manager of one, what have you. But think about building your own private space where you can. You don't have to rely solely on somebody else's community, but broadcast channel from an Instagram is probably the easiest entry point to do. Create a closed Slack or Discord. I know Carmen and her team at Slate are doing this with Slack for your most loyal customers and fans. And so use it as kind of behind the scenes, getting feedback, that unpolished type of stuff. I know, for example, Walmart is doing this. They're pursuing creators who have private communities and engaging in those spaces. So the brands moving now are going to be ahead of the game a little bit. And scene. That's my talk.
Amazing. But I have a bone to pick with you.
Oh, no.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
You know what? There are 13 people on floor 15 that are wearing pink. And I said, why are we wearing pink today? Apparently, I missed the memo.
The comments are saying, Josh, you had one job today, and that was to wear pink. You can't start with Mean Girls and not wear pink on a Wednesday, and it's a Wednesday.
I work at an ad agency. We wear black 95% of the time. I missed the memo. Next Wednesday, I'll take a picture. I'll share it. I'll wear pink.
Okay, well, we're going to bring Carmen on from Slate at the moment. Yeah, you could have worn a pink cowboy hat. You could have. Someone said, are you wearing pink socks, though?
Would it surprise you if I'm wearing black socks?
It would not surprise me at all.
There you go.
All right, well, we're going to hear from Carmen next. Carmen, there you are.
Hi.
Okay,
oh my gosh, I'm not wearing pink either, but...
But Josh opened his presentation with Mean Girls, and it's a Wednesday, and he's
yeah, he didn't totally understand the assignment, but I do appreciate him warming up the audience for me.
Excellent. Well, take it away.
Okay, amazing. I'm Carmen. I lead social and content strategy at Slate, which you heard before, but I also post content independently of that. So on TikTok, Instagram, now Substack, where I talk about digital culture. So for better or worse, I'm on the internet a lot, and I'm always analyzing the cultural movements that are going on there. So today I'm going to talk about something that at first glance might just seem like a sort of passing trend, but I think it's something we could actually use pretty strategically in influencer campaigns. So I want to talk about the growing movement around yapping and ultimately why this style of content has captivated us and how we can ultimately begin to use it in campaigns or in partnerships. So I'm going to start just by playing a video for you that's a creator who's talked a lot about yapping. You can see that obviously there's a lot of discourse going on Instagram and TikTok, but I want to just play this one to get us sort of started. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let me see.
Oh, sorry, guys. I think we've got a bit of a technical difficulty there. I don't think we can hear the video.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. What we'll do, we'll be sending the resources at the end of the session. So don't worry, you can play that in your own time. But Carmen, back over to you.
Okay, sorry. That's my big bad. I was like, I'll sense from people's face if they can't hear it. Okay, that's my snafu. Okay, so moving on. He's talking about yapping and why it basically, I'll summarize. He was talking about how yapping looks very effortless and it looks like an off the cuff kind of movement where you're just setting up your phone, had something to talk about and wanted to get it out. But in truth, there's a lot that goes into it. So let's talk a little bit about that. So yapping isn't new. It's definitely a huge part of short form content, but it seems like we're only just now catching on to the fact that, like I said, it's not really that effortless. There's a lot of premeditation that goes into it. So it seems to be an emerging trend that now creators are yapping about yapping. So this is almost like meta style, bringing it full circle, which means yapping is the format, but it's also a way that we analyze the format. So we are yapping and we are yapping about yapping. There's a lot of layers here. Before we move on to the benefits, because I think we need to think about how might yapping be a way to sort of tap into trust in a creator campaign. I want to talk about ultimately how do we define a yap? So a yap is a talking head style of content that feels like a conversation between the creator and their audience. It's almost like a private DM or like a voice note that you would send your friend, and therein lies its appeal. They feel really personal, they feel very honest, they feel unplanned, even if that's not actually the case. So the aesthetic is spur of the moment, but the execution is premeditated. Okay, and then I want to talk about benefits of yapping and how you would actually start to utilize it. So I think it's important to remember in this sort of internet and marketing age that we don't just launch a campaign, we also have to talk about the campaign, and then we recap the campaign and we relive it on social feeds. So it's almost like the campaign has quite a long tail. The campaign itself, and anyone who spends a lot of time on LinkedIn will be intimately acquainted with this. There's just like what happens after the campaign. So I think a really unique or strategic way of leveraging yaps is to go live and plan your core sponsored content with creators or influencers, but then also bake in a yapping deliverable that would be published at a slight delay. So the yap can be the creator talking about the campaign itself, like actually referencing the campaign they just did or the content they just posted, referencing the excitement, the questions that came up, even things like sharing anecdotes from the DMs they received. And it starts to break down that fourth wall a bit and build trust. So I feel like there's a sense right now on social that we don't really, we have like almost a low tolerance for marketing, but I think that when the creator can say like, hey, we're actually talking about the thing that we just marketed, there's a feeling of being like, of co-creating that reality with them instead of just being on the receiving end of a broadcast. So ultimately benefits are, it's a pretty unadorned style that builds this deeper trust, as a result of breaking down this fourth wall. It's a pretty unsaturated content format for partnerships. Like clearly it's something that creators are tapping into daily, but I don't think it's something we've seen a ton, or it's not overrun in the influencer space. And then I think it also gives you a strategic channel to help define your own narrative of the campaign. Obviously you want influencers to communicate a certain brand narrative in their content, but having a yap to finish things off with is like your way of steering the conversation in the final stages. So that is I didn't have a final slide like Josh. I really liked his end scene, but that's my thoughts on yapping in the influencer age.
Amazing. Don't you just love the word yap?
I do. It has a certain ring to it. It really rolls off the tongue.
Okay,
guys. When I say it really hits.
It does.
Yeah.
Before we get into this panel, guys, I mean, I have a bone to pick to you again, Josh. Sorry, I'm bullying you this webinar.
I can't wear pink. I can't. This is what I got.
Something else. You guys promised us on LinkedIn: clown hats, unicycles, juggling. We even got our bosses.
That's true. Yeah.
On it. Seriously.
I thought, I thought I emailed you guys about this, but my unicycle is in the shop, and so I wasn't able to bring it into the workspace today. But I will do that next time.
Yeah, Josh is actually really good at juggling while riding the unicycle, but he, for whatever reason, didn't bring that today.
Yeah,
Well, I did. Oh my God!
Look at this.
I thought that might have been the case, so I thought that we could just, AI you doing what you've been doing.
Wow. I'm in my natural element.
Well, you guys, the energy between you guys is just absolutely amazing, especially on LinkedIn. So I'm really, really excited to get into this panel. So with everything being said between both of you, I do think there's some synergy here. So we've got pulling people into private spaces, people yapping in a very authentic way. Are we heading back to 2016, the olden days where we just like that organic good stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I've been reading a lot about streaming. And even though I'm old at this point, and so I don't watch a lot of live streams, but it was interesting because the more research I did into it, the more I was like, oh, you know what streaming reminds me of? It's like reminds me of being a kid and having like an always on TV, just kind of in the background that you weren't
Mhm.
necessarily watching,
Mhm.
but it's like there and it's somehow like changes like the mood a little bit of the space. I mean, maybe I'm outing myself as a as a family where we had the TV on all the time, but yeah, there was an element of thinking like, I'm thinking like streaming is this like new form of content that I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I like that. And now I'm like, wait, are we just returning to the 90s? Like, I do think there's a sort of cyclical feeling about streaming. So,
Agreed.
Mhm.
Josh?
Yeah, and I think people now are just craving more authenticity and more real things. And I think if you go back to 2016 and 2006, and if you're older like me, you go to 1996, the late 1900s. People are just craving that authenticity. I think AI is just everything. Is you don't know what's real. You're questioning everything, and so I think that there is a little bit of a nostalgic push for what those more realistic things before AI, before all of the slop, so to speak, that was coming through. And so I think you're seeing people want to go back to a more time when they knew things were real.
What do you think brands can do better going forward if we're gonna think about yapping and also pulling communities into private spaces? What can brands be doing right now? Carmen?
yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes back to what Anara was saying, where it's like, on some level, like you have to sort of let a creator do like speak in the language they speak in, create in the format they want to create in. I feel like there's just like a kind of amount. I don't know. I'm not really I don't adhere to this term so much, but it's like, let them cook sort of thing. Like, I think that that's like a big part of what brands could and should be doing right now, which is have more of a light touch than really trying to like over engineer the moment. And I think you'll probably end up with much more authentic content that way.
Yeah, speaking from an influencer lens, having that co-creation, as Carmen just said, letting them cook. I think that's the brief that I work with my teams on. Is like we can give them a brief that is step by step, but then it's going to fall very flat.
Yeah.
Making sure that you're co-creating, they know what works on their channels. They have the ingredients. They can kind of distill it in a way that makes sense for their audience and themselves. So I think that's part of it, is like letting go a little bit, not being a helicopter parent, and just being like trusting that process, that they know what they're doing. And after all, there is a contract, so they have to deliver.
Do you know what? I think community was the buzzword, but I think co-creation is going to be the next buzzword. I think we're hearing more of that, which is really, really exciting. We do have a question, so let's bring that up. Hey Josh, how important is for brands to make it into the group chat, and how do you make content that's group chat worthy? Thank you, Daniel.
I feel like Daniel just took this from a deck that I built, that was a team built a couple weeks ago. It's very important, because I think that if you can, and I've been saying this for years with my teams, is that if you can make it into the group chat, you know that you've got something. If you can make it into the group chat, you can make it that's the type of content that gets spread. That's the type of content that's going to work well in paid. So I think it's very important that you create something that is relatable. It says something about your group dynamic, who you are. You have to see this. Oh my God, remember when we did this? Those types of things that go beyond just a like, but go to a smaller group that they can have different conversations. It's an emotional pull. So I think it's really important that you do that. And I think part of creating content as a brand is understanding who your audience is and what they want to see. Everybody, you have a logo coming from your Instagram or TikTok account. They know what brand it's coming from, but the content has to speak to the audience and to those folks. So audience centric, audience first, thinking like a fan of the brand, creating content in that mindset helps you get into those group chats or those other spaces. I feel a little bit in a little bit more easier fashion.
Agreed. Carmen, anything to add?
Yeah, I think it's just there's this. I think you can sometimes fall into this trap in like a marketing department or a social team where you're like approving or putting out content because there's a lot of demands, and you're sort of like, I don't know, like it's good, and then you'll put it out. But I think you sort of need to be like, would I put this in my group chat? And for a long time, I think that maybe I was on teams where we would say, well, I'm not the demographic or something. And now I try to be more like, like I try to say like, yeah, I am the demographic. Like if this doesn't pass my sniff test, if I don't think this is smart or funny enough that I would send it, then like it's actually not good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there's a case to be made for like raising that bar and just having a kind of personal litmus test that's like, is this actually funny? Like I think I know the answer. So maybe it's like a bit of ruthlessness or something.
I completely agree. I think, if you could just be, I mean, another brand called Salt do this really well. Their founders are in their WhatsApp chats, and they put videos in there, exclusive videos, and they just kind of chat kind of very naturally and organically to, I mean, they got pool of influencers. I think I don't know if they do it for their customers, but it converts really, really well.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's another thing I think it's a great thing, pulling your customers, pulling your influencers into private spaces. Okay, we've got another question. Thanks, guys. What's your opinion on yapping only creators?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like, I'm not totally sure if the question is saying like, are they fit for influencing campaigns or that sort of thing? But I mean, I think that there's definitely ways to partner with people who have harnessed yapping. Like realistically, to be a good yapper, like you have to be an excellent storyteller. You have to have a handle on like timing and hooks and like how to sort of like maintain tension over time. Like it's actually really complicated. So I would feel pretty confident in the hands of a yapper, if I was like, oh, I have a brand narrative, I need to make sure you hit this, like these certain aspects of a brief. To be quite frank, I think like there's no one better than a yapper, even if, maybe we don't think of that format as like a normal partnership style. I truly think that like the skills you need to craft consistently good yaps are the exact skills you need to bring a brand narrative to life in a way that doesn't feel salesy or just like a total snooze.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds like you're a good yapper, Carvin.
Thank you. I don't know who said that, but I'll take it.
Excellent. Well, that's a wrap on the panel, guys. Thank you so much. The comments are in, and they said they want an apology video from you, and they want tears for not bringing the clown hats and unicycles. So
yeah,
track that on LinkedIn, guys.
Yeah, I'll talk to Josh after this. Like I'll give him some honest feedback. Yeah.
I'll wear pink next time.
Yay! All right, guys. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
Bye, y'all.
All right, let's get on to session number 3. So we're joined by the amazing Georgia Humphreys from Stanley 1913, who'll be diving into creators as curators. Again, there'll be an opportunity to ask Georgia some questions at the end of a segment, so do ask your questions to the right. Georgia, over to you.
Thank you so much. So first of all, totally missed the pink memo.
Oh!
I went full blue today. I actually did one of these ChatGPT color analyses recently, and apparently pink washes me out. So no longer going to be wearing pink. Sorry, Modash.
That's hilarious. People do it with their hair color, don't they? And like, what washes me out? Hey, it's fine.
Fantastic.
Over to you, Georgia.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Georgia. I lead everything influencer marketing and organic social for Stanley 1913 for the EMEA region. I've been in influencer marketing, it's like a short intro, for about 10 years now, which definitely makes me feel like a bit of a dinosaur, but it's really allowed me to witness so many changes and so many shifts over our industry. So super excited that I get to talk to you all today. And I'm really going to be sharing what works in influencer marketing right now. So let's start with the Stanley brand. I think everyone knows Stanley, the big cups. We know that Stanley's seen momentous growth over the last few years, really shifting from our OG thermos flask to the famous Quencher silhouette, being an absolute staple of everyone's home, everyone's office, everyone's car. So this makes my job a lot easier because the celebrities, the advocates, the influencers, they're always so visible that at some point everyone wants a product, which is great. But how do we continue down this path and ensure sustainable growth outweighs a one-off hype? And that's kind of how I want to bring that back to our topic today of influencer marketing and how we want to be working on much longer and more sustainable partnerships. So this is my key message for you all today. One-off partnerships are fading. And I really believe that we can all win with much longer term brand ambassadors. I've noticed the difference more and more over the last couple of years in the authenticity of influencer marketing. I think you've got your classic paid content, maybe one reel, 2 stories over one weekend, and that can definitely work, don't get me wrong. I think for the right brand at the right time, this can be a very safe bet. You know that one-off posts can create spikes in traffic, spikes in engagement, spikes in follower growth, hopefully even spikes in sales too. But in the end, you're renting the audience's attention, and that's when it can really come across as a bit more transactional and commercial. So in my opinion, I've kind of experienced that one-off influencers are posting because you're paying them to. Having much longer term brand ambassadors, and by that I mean individuals who fully embody your brand values and culture, that really brings equity to your brand, and they earn that attention. And I feel like it feels much more relatable to the audience that you're trying to target. So with longer term collaborations, influencers are actively shaping the purchasing behavior by authentically promoting what they believe in. I think let's bring it back to that one photo of Adele driving, and I think it was James Corden feeding her with the straw. It's relatable. It's quite a real life moment. I think actually people who have had or have Stanley products, they realize it's a very real life moment. It's pretty funny, and she's a hydrated girly. We love Adele. But in the end, you'll find these shared values when you're working with someone long enough to really discover this like authentic side and usage of your products. So in my experience, creators who love the brand, they don't see it then as much as work, and therefore they're also way more likely to go above and beyond. And that consistency of posting then also builds much more steady reach, steady trust, and also steady brand love, because audiences recognize this repeated valued recommendation over and over and over again, and creators also feel more invested in the brand. So this definitely isn't just about posting more. I think it's about curating the culture space that you would like your brand to live in through influencer marketing. So we're always looking for meaningful partnerships. And I think something that's becoming more and more apparent is that they need to be rooted in these shared values that allow us to really stay connected to our community, to their community, and also really keep our finger on the pulse of what's next. So many of our partnerships began organically with real fandom, which I know how lucky that is as an influencer marketing person. But that matters. It does, because today's consumers can spot inauthenticity from a mile away. So I feel that the most powerful partnerships are often the ones that start with this genuine fan love. And I know that some of the speakers before really spoke about this kind of building this community and scaling that with intention. And I completely agree. I think the audience can feel when something's real. And when it's also real for the influencer, I think they'll turn that partnership into part of their identity. And that's when we see the products, the messaging, the brand values show up organically again and again and again and again. And I think Molly May is an absolute perfect example of that for us too. We actually watched her documentary, and the first part had 17 different Stanley products in it. So we watched it as a team. It was fantastic. Over the last couple of years, I've noted the problem with many campaigns across brands is that the influencer marketing can feel quite inconsistent. So I started searching for a solution here at Stanley 1913 to really move from these spikes of interest to a much more steady growth and sustained brand trust. And that's when we came up with our brand ambassador program. We actually started with 2 UK ambassadors. This is where kind of our key marketing focus is. And they were both strongly aligned with our audience and really embodied our community. We actually have one of them up here now, Lindsay Holland. So we wanted the first two to really exude what it means to be a Stanley brand ambassador. We wanted them to generate engagement, conversation, and ultimately conversion. But with our third, much more unexpected ambassador this year, we had a very different approach, and that's who I'm going to be focused on today. But before I dive into that further, let's take one step back and look at how we found our ambassadors. So whenever I'm looking for the perfect influencer, let's see if that exists, but the perfect influencer for a brand, I often don't start with deep diving straight into their feed. I don't straight away check the tone of voice or doom scroll through hours of story highlights, I think, like a lot of us would. I start in Modash, and I do genuinely believe that it's because data-driven influencer marketing has been the way forward for a very long time, and today it's more important than ever. I also like checking these 4 points: advocacy, authenticity, consistency, and impact. So advocacy, do they already talk about us in their space? Authenticity, like would they naturally use our products in their daily routines? Consistency, is their feed aligned with ours? And is it consistent? Are there no big changes in the content direction? And finally, impact. Do they move sentiment? Do they create culture? So these 4 criteria then, paired with the influencer statistics we're looking at from Modash, allow myself and my team to really ensure that we're contracting the most successful influencers for our brand. So yeah, in my experience, I think partnerships only work when they're built on that mutual respect and cultural alignment that you can see not only from the detailed statistics, but also from the feed. I think here's a great example of that. Our first German brand ambassador, Stella Elena. I think on initial glance, her feed is unmistakably Stanley. I think she is the Stanley girl. But much more importantly, her audience is a really strong fit for our marketing goals. I've pulled this clip up here from the Modash platform to show you what that looks like in terms of KPIs as well. But I think when those two things just click together, it then makes so much sense to really strongly consider making them a brand ambassador more than just a one-off campaign. So now that we've found the creator that we think will work with, how do we go about testing them before agreeing to a 6-month, 9-month contract? I'm sure many of you can relate to the fact that influencers perform wildly differently sometimes than expectations or maybe promises you've made to your managers for a number of reasons. It's definitely not always easy to estimate results in this industry. Therefore, at Stanley 1913, we usually begin with seeding to a potential creator, just to get the products in the hands of the right people and observe how they use it. Are they huge fans straight away? Do they need a lot of encouragement to use it? And then you can always tell when that brand love is authentic. I think that's why this phase is so important to us. From there, if the fit is still really great, we look at the entire duration of the collaboration, usually around 6 months, and we start mapping out the content, the story direction, the phases, the goals. And on this slide, you'll see a kind of usual timeline of the goals there, where we really focus the beginning of the collaboration and the campaign on creating that buzz. So we want hype around maybe like new products or new launches. And then we shift into this engaging of the audience with interactive content. Maybe we even request that they attend an event with us. And then finally, after weeks or even months of being shown how this creator integrates multiple products into their day-to-day lives, the content will influence the purchasing behavior even more so, and remind and convince any last followers who were a bit on the fence or hadn't had the opportunity yet to make a sale. So that's how I'd suggest structuring your multi-phase content plans with really specific goals in mind, aligned with a bit of a rollout timeline. So finally, let's look at our one specific ambassador that we've been working with over the last few months, Lorraine. As you might know, we've launched 3 massive multi-year football partnerships over the last year. Last summer, we launched Arsenal, then came PSG, and then Juventus just a couple of days ago. Leading up to all of these launches, especially the first one, we really realized that one of our main issues was our audience didn't know football and football definitely didn't know us. So we needed to really increase brand awareness with a pretty unconventional audience for Stanley. Therefore, we thought, what a better way to really warm up the football fans for our first Arsenal drop than to have an Arsenal Stanley brand ambassador. We didn't just want an Arsenal fan, we wanted someone who just lived and breathed football and whose audience really trusted them with pretty much anything football related. And that's how we found Lyrian. I think she was actually one of the first recommendations that popped up on Modash's keyword search when we typed in Arsenal and football. We managed to secure a deal with Lyrian, which consists of a multi-phase content plan. We contracted her for 8 months in total. And no, that didn't mean a couple of stories, a couple of reels. We wanted to integrate her into everything we were doing that her audience would be interested in. I think a good thing to mention as well. We didn't want to just throw her into the very girly pink aesthetic, but we started seeding to her from some of our core product line, just to see how her audience would really react to her working with us. Was it believable at all? She wasn't a typical Stanley girl, of course, but once we saw that the sentiment was really strong, we really started integrating her into our bigger campaign moments that were focused around sports and lifestyle. That very much included our Arsenal launch campaign. So, as you can see, over the last month, Lyrian didn't only post the posts, the reels, the stories that we contracted her to. She's pushed new collaboration launches. She was featured in our newsletter. She was quoted as well. She's attended Arsenal games with us, including the women's final, which was incredible. And she's even created content specifically for our own social media channels. On top of that, I think something that I'm actually maybe most proud of for the team as well is that we managed to integrate Lyrian into something that wasn't football. We integrated her into our biggest lifestyle campaign of the year. And you could see her on billboards, on posters, in stores all across Europe. I don't think I'm ever going to be that cool, by the way. So I think in general, having the same face show up across so many channels and getting the products into the hands of the right people just makes sense. Over time, Lyrian's community really came to associate us with her own brand identity. And it's not just Lyrian. I think here's an example of another brand ambassador who actually hosted an event for us, a Stanley 1913 wellness event for us in last August in London. Needless to say, those tickets were booked out, I believe, in 4 minutes. And it was a very full house on the day, but an absolute success. So what I really want to get across here is that repetitive, omni-channel targeting builds trust. And that eventually also builds brand love. You don't have to just trust me on this one. I think that the results really speak for themselves. Our brand ambassadors had on average a quarter of the CPM as our regular paid campaigns did last year. One of our ambassadors actually ended up producing, I believe, 64 pieces of content versus the 24 that they were contracted. And we even had one of our brand ambassadors fly into Amsterdam to come and visit our main European office just to get their eyes on the new products that are coming out and just select which ones they wanted next. So it was so exciting for us to see how much love there was for our brand too. I do want to highlight, of course, that sometimes it does still make sense to run a one-off campaign. or to just seed. I think with a one-off campaign that's just paid, you still have the control over the content and the coverage. It can be a nice starting block as well to run something more long-term. I'm definitely not suggesting you take these campaigns completely out of your strategy. So my recommendation would be that you need balance, of course. Creators that you still want to test could be seeded to organically. Creators that you're a bit more confident in will perform well, but you've got a really specific vision maybe for the content, the audience fit, run them in your regular paid campaigns. And the influencers that you know perform so well, that your audience really resonates with, and that really return that brand love for you, really do consider long-term partnerships with them. I think integrating them across multiple channels, multiple campaigns to really curate culture around your brand, it just works. So my final thought for today would really just be to encourage you all to try building out those partnerships, not just placements. In my experience, ambassadors curate culture, not just campaigns. So thank you so much. Looking forward to any questions, of course, that are coming in.
Thank you so much, Georgia. I mean, I cannot live without my Stanley. Everyone knows in this webinar that I'm always have my my Stanley to hand. So, I mean, how many do you have? Do you have a
Oh my gosh, I really hope this wasn't going to be a question. Like a shameful amount. I think at home, at least one per room. Let's leave it at that.
I mean, that you can never have too many Stanleys, in my opinion. There's just so many colours, and like not drinking out of a bottle. And ever since
I know, and there's so many collaborations as well. We just launched Carol G, and I was like, well, there goes my money again. gotta buy another one.
Well, we've had a few questions, so should we just get into a couple for you?
Yeah, let's go.
Amazing. Okay, question number 1. What is your biggest differentiator between what you consider an influencer partner versus an ambassador? Thank you, Lauren.
Great question, Lauren. Thank you for that. I think someone we consider an ambassador is someone who's built up a proper community as well. I think that was really interesting, actually, what was being said in the last chat as well. I think Josh was mentioning this kind of curating around a community. And I think the closer influencers are to their fans in the end and their followers, the more believable they are over a longer period of time. And I think that's what almost tips the scales in the right direction for me when I see, is this someone who positively influences in a fashion or lifestyle space, or is it someone who curates this culture and this community around them? And those people I'd focus on the brand ambassador side.
I think the penny just dropped for me then when you said curate. I think that's interesting because, like you said, curating a community, curating their kind of their views and their values. I think that's really important. And sometimes that's missing from the creator. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, 100%. And I think that's what we're really looking for, is that match in brand values.
Yeah.
Because they also are a brand, and that's how we really view them. And when it clicks, it just clicks, and you're like, it's so obviously meant to be this partnership.
Amazing. Next question, please. Okay. How do you set a budget for long-term partnerships? Is it based on number of posts, monthly fees, or do you already know how many posts do you want from them? What if it does not perform from the beginning and you're stuck with a long-term partnership? This is a fantastic question.
Absolutely. And I almost included what if into this presentation. I thought, no, let's not discourage everyone. But we've had it. We've had a situation where around the 4-month mark, the creator completely changed direction from being a very supportive, like also focusing on mental health, which we loved, to someone who much more often was quite negative about the mental health space. And I think that's something where we were like, oh my gosh, let's pull the trigger quick. So I think it's a really interesting concept, like what happens if the content direction changes. So what we tend to do, coming to the first part of the question, is we really, once we've decided, okay, we would like to work with this person in the long run, we map it out over 4, 6, or 8 months, depending on how large the creator is, and looking at our budgets then. And then we start mapping out the content according to the goals. And we have kind of our benchmarks roughly for what one post or one reel should cost. We bundle them together and we map that out across the timeline so that we have a rough range that we would want to pay this creator.
Brilliant. No, I completely agree. Also, again, you guys gift a lot, don't you? You do a lot of product
Yeah.
gifting, and sometimes I think I've spoken to you about this before, but sometimes if it doesn't, nothing comes off it, it might do it later on down the line.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's always really interesting too. We do gift a lot. I think there's nothing better than getting everyone to have one of our products. And I think that even if you don't see a result in the first week or two when we're normally measuring results, there's a good chance they're using it in the background still.
Excellent. Okay, let's go to another question. Excellent. Do we have one? No worries if not, because you are going to stick around for our Q&A session anyway, which happens to be now. So thank you so much, Georgia. Your presentation was amazing. I mean, a lot of Stanley lovers in the chat, which is great to see. Okay, we have now hit my favorite. Oh, I love a good Q&A, everyone. So please be sure to ask any questions to the right. Ask away. Don't forget, we are giving away prizes to the most noisiest people in the good way, of course. But hi, Anara. Great to have you back.
Hello.
Did you watch the rest of the webinar or did you dip in, dip out?
Oh, no, I was watching that. Georgia, you killed it.
Amazing. Hi, Tess. Nice to see you.
Good to see you guys. Hi, everyone.
Okay, guys, ask your questions, ask your questions in the chat to the right. But we do have a few raised to go. So, guys, girl squad, girl bosses, are we ready for the Q&A?
Absolutely.
All right. How do you diversify the content formats over 6 months or year partnerships to prevent ad fatigue and keep the audience engaged with the same brand? Okay, I'm going to hand this one to Tess first.
Amazing. I think this is like where at Goodwipes, we like to create different campaigns. So the messaging changes for the creators. It gives them something else to anchor to and get excited about. And we really try to refresh the briefs. Yeah.
Anara.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think if you think about what your brand is going to be launching over the, like 6 months, 1 year, there's probably going to be different moments that you want to highlight, whether it's like a new launch or a new campaign. So I think kind of looping them in and also just giving them like a forward view so they feel like a true partner in the brand. Be like, hey, this is what we're launching in 6 months, just so you have an idea of it, you know, to get them excited.
Georgia, anything to add?
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. I think something interesting that we're really doing is making sure that every couple of months, the way that we're interacting with them is quite different. So it's not just the stories or reels, but then we invite them for a Stanley 1913 wellness run in the morning or a walk through London, and then towards the end of the campaign, when we want to see a bit more of conversion, we probably tie that in with one of our own sales as well, just to make sure that there's no fatigue there.
Excellent. Guys, when asking your questions, do add your question, who it's for. That would be great. But next question, please. Okay. How do you demonstrate the importance of slow build on influencer to nurture community and drive long-term results when talking to a team manager that wants to see quick and big results? Oh, gosh, this one really just hit me hard then because I was managed for years. Georgia, I'm going to hand this to you because I feel like you probably have a wealth of experience with this.
Absolutely. I assume we're talking kind of internally, that we're trying to convince a team or manager internally within a company that they want to see quick and big results. Yeah, 10 years, I've had to convince a lot of people about influencer marketing. So definitely been there. I feel you, whoever's written this. I think something to always showcase, and that's what I love about Modash too, is it's so results driven. You can measure everything nowadays. And I think it's so much more insightful than something that's offline, like a billboard or even a TV ad. You know how many eyes are actually seeing everything. And I think posing it as such, data driven, people love to hear it. So I always really emphasize that not only do we get all the data, but look how much we can learn from the data and constantly improve moving forward.
Excellent. Tess?
Yeah, I think it's communication too, of like your plans and what you would like to build the program into. I think a lot of people who don't work in this space, whether that's a CEO or your boss, who've never done influencer or social, just giving them like a little bit of a view ahead of what you would like to build into. And I think often they just want to know that you have a plan. and that you're not just like spending a ton of budget. Like there's a reason for it, and you kind of are backing your ideas up with like what Georgia said, the metrics, of course, but just like you're thinking about holistically how this is supporting the greater brand vision and goals.
Yeah. Anara?
Totally agree with all of that. And I think half the job within influencer marketing is influencing internally. So definitely feel that. I think kind of like Tess said, if you can just show that you have a plan, right? And so let's say if you're just starting out, maybe your first goal is just establishing more creators on the feed or experimenting with different kinds of creators and kind of just showcasing to your audience, like you're working with a new kind of set of creators. Then maybe the second goal is once you've done that, then you can kind of focus on the ROAS and all that kind of stuff. So I think if you just bring them along to that journey, I think they'll be more likely to understand.
Love that. Thanks, ladies. Okay, next question, please. There's so many questions, by the way. What would you call a good CPM? Guys, I'm going to do a bit of a rapid fire here. So I'm going to start with Anara.
I'm not huge into the numbers, to be honest. I think that that's definitely something I, should be more equipped on. I'm more of a vibes marketer. But I would say I think it's between that $3 to $4 range, right? Is a good CPM.
All right, Tess.
We like our goal right now is brand awareness and becoming famous. So we don't really look at that as much as like if you were here earlier, Meredith, talking about the click-through rate of how long they're staying on a video. And that really helps me decide like if I'm going to work with an influencer again. It's like, are they capturing the attention, and how long are they staying on that piece of content? So we're looking at that more than the advertising cost, I think. But I would love to hear from Georgia. She has a much bigger
the magic number. So I think it actually differs, at least for us, across different markets. Like the German market just happens to be like the most expensive, but also perform the best. And different channels too. So I think our TikTok CPM, we always aim for it to be around $10. And the Instagram one is then a little bit more expensive normally. But I think brand awareness is also our main goal. But I'm just such a numbers girly. I just like having it all in a beautiful Excel and being able to track it.
I need more of that energy.
Love that. Okay, next question. Thanks, guys. Ballpark, what was the budget for this? Not sure what for what. We'll just move on to the next question. I'm sorry, I don't quite understand that one. Let's roll on to the next, if we can. So many questions in the chat. I love that people are saying heck yes to vibes marketer. I love that. Anara, my CEO wants to be disruptive in our premium space. How do I go big without compromising the brand? Thank you, Hannah.
Ooh, that's a great question. And that's actually something I think about a lot because I've personally never worked in like the premium space. But I think even if you look at, for example, Coach is a really good example of this. Like they're kind of within that kind of high end, like starting to be luxury space. And they actually do a lot of really fun collabs. I mean, the one that I'm thinking of is they did with Nara Smith and they had her like baking one of their bags. So I think that as long as you do, and I feel like, as long as you do it in a way and with partners that still make sense for your brand, you can still be unexpected. And I think as long as you find kind of those examples, what's another one? I can't think of the name, but there's that brand they do, I think it's Jacques. Is that how you say it? But they do a lot of really cool outwards marketing too. Like I know they put their logo on butter. Yeah. So I feel like if you find the right examples of brands within that space that are doing it, I know in the alcohol industry as well, like I think you can still kind of prove that there's a case for unexpectedness within no matter what industry you're in.
I'm seeing it everywhere, like Jazoo with Smeg. Did you see that? Was that real? Because I thought it was AI at first. And it was just breathtaking, that kettle. I immediately needed that kettle, and when people were like posting about it, I was so bloody jealous because I really wanted that kettle. I was in the market for a new Smeg kettle. But these unexpected collaborations, they're actually popping off. I think Tess, we touched this in your presentation, didn't we?
Yeah, I think the brands that I'm thinking of are like Loewe and Marc Jacobs. They're TikTok, both of them.
Yeah.
Like I'm always so surprised that Loewe there's such a high end purse leather, like I don't own any Loewe, but I love their TikTok. It's really cool. It makes me see them in a new way.
Love that. Okay, next question, please. Yeah, someone's saying it does feel hard to branch out of what you typically work with, isn't it? So it's always hard to kind of go beyond that. But next question, for subscription-based products, how would you manage brand reputation when using partnership ads? Who wants to take this first?
I think this is definitely a challenging one. I've only worked once with a subscription-based platform that was actually for rewilding the planet. So I think in that case, just continuously showing the good that we were doing and integrating that into the subscription model as well, to really be like, okay, just like constantly showcasing, like we're working with influencers who are even going themselves to help on an environmental side, whether it was beach cleanups or something like this, like replanting trees. This was a really nice way of keeping everything really authentic, because we then really work with the people who actually cared. And I think that just kind of came through over and over again. And it was so nice then to integrate them into the subscription-based platform where people were getting regular updates of what their favorite influencers were doing to help as well.
Great. There's a really interesting question here. I'm just going to bring it on screen. Office day snacks, arguably a very important question. What are all of your favorites? I'm going to start with Nara. Is it Sweet Lauren's?
Of course. And I actually have one of my favorite bars. This is the Perfect bar. I like these.
Oh.
I always have one of these, and they're mini, so like you can always snack on these.
Had that casually next to you.
I know. I'm also a kid, and I don't care. I love like string cheese. That's my go-to.
Tess, how about you?
I love pretzels.
Yeah.
Like a good pretzel,
How about you, Georgia?
Well, I discovered in summer that you can put a whole ice lolly in a Stanley and it stays frozen for hours. So I've just only had that in the office for months. So I would say that's probably my go-to as soon as summer comes around again.
I'm going to do that with a Mars bar ice cream because I love those.
Yes.
Okay, this is a question for you, Georgia. Product seeding usually doesn't include requirements to post for macro influencers. How do you gauge and test their interest in authentic? If they are not posting about it, do you require posting?
So we don't set any requirements to influencers that we are just seeding to. We only have those requirements in the briefings and the content for approval and everything when it comes to paid campaigns. So we just go for it. And I think that's something that can be super, super exciting as well, is we really look, my entire team is looking every day for any signs that their friends have Stanleys, for example, or like clothing that matches one of the Stanley products that we have. So for example, Anara, I know exactly what kind of Stanley I would gift you if you're an influencer. I think like this kind of hot pink, we know what products we have, and I think we really try and match it and always include a bit of a personalized note. Like, we love this post of you in this hot pink t-shirt the other day, so we wanted to send you something that would fit perfectly to your outfit. And just, of course, we always hold out hope that they will post in the end, but if they don't, they got themselves a beautiful new product.
I think they've become a customer for life. I love my Stanley. All right, next question. Can you tell I'm a Stanley fan? Yeah, I'll just go on. When did your brand decide an ambassador program is needed? Do you guys all do ambassador programs for one? Do you all do? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to give it to Tess first.
I think ambassador program for us was one of the first things we did. When we didn't have a budget, everyone's shaking their head. Yeah. When we didn't have a budget for influencer marketing, it was like finding the people who are already obsessed with us and then, leveraging that relationship and making them feel seen and doing the things that go an extra mile, making sure they always are stocked up, giving them opportunities to come be a part of our events and samplings, and just really bringing them into the fold. And now I think we have a paid ambassador program where we pick like people in different markets who like work alongside us and help promote the brand, and that has been really successful.
Anara?
Yeah, I would say completely agree. I remember one of the previous questions was how to get started if you're like a small, scrappy, if you have a small, scrappy budget. I think ambassador programs are actually the perfect way to start because you're finding the, really loyal audience, like fans in your audience that are already posting about you. And I think if you can engage them, make them ambassador, make them feel super special, I think that's such a great way to get started.
Yeah. And Georgia?
I think the only thing I can really add on there, I think the question was, when did you start? I think the day that I joined the company, I was like, okay, you know what we need? We need an ambassador program because if there is so much brand love already, how can you not just amplify it further and further through really authentic content production and showcasing various products and really making it kind of stretch over a longer period of time? I
Yeah.
think for us, it was a huge win. So I would really, always encourage brand ambassador programs.
Someone that's really insightful. Just a quick one before we move on to this question. But someone just said about when you do gift a lot of product to influencers. I mean, when I worked as an influencer, I used to get inundated with the amount of PR, and sometimes things can get lost in the post, like not in the post, but in like amongst the 10 million products that you have. So sometimes just keeping that touch base, and maybe they do start like posting it organically a few months later. I think it's really important to kind of not give up on the whole affiliate thing. Anara, I find it interesting to go opposite of our competitor to find grey space. How can you be sure about that grey space and be convinced it's the right place to tap into?
That is such a great question. Okay. So I don't think you're ever going to fully know until you try, right? Because your options are either you're already in a crowded space, maybe your competitors are way bigger than you and they're kind of already owning that category or working with all the influencers in that space. The best thing you can do is just try. And the worst thing that happens is, okay, it fails, you learn, and maybe there's a different gray space that you try out. But I think that, at the end of the day, we've got to remember that as marketers, we're always learning, we're building the plane as we fly it, and we're experimenting in real time. And so I think there's kind of a lot of beauty within that process itself of just trying and seeing what sticks.
Absolutely. Does anyone add anything else to that? Going into gray areas? No, all good. All right, let's go to the next question. Should EMV be given a higher priority and talked about more when measuring influencer marketing success? Thanks, Eric. What do you guys think? Georgia?
I would honestly say yes. I think it's actually a more crucial measurement than like regular ROI. To be honest, I think it's so much more encompassing with brand awareness than the regular sales thing. I think statistics that companies generally look at, and that's one of our main KPIs that we're reporting on as well. So
Right.
yeah, I think it's a very crucial one. You can also measure it based on different campaigns or different months. I think much more, holistic of a KPI.
How about you guys, Tess and Nara?
I would agree.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah.
We're all in agreement. Yes. Stanley seems to target women a lot in their marketing. Do you guys have any strategies for men? I think this is Georgia question.
Fantastic question, Natalie. I think 100%. And I think we all talk and almost laugh about like the classic Stanley girl. And something that one of the ways we've really tried to break through to the male audience is through these football partnerships that I've been mentioning.
Yeah.
I think launching 3 of the biggest clubs worldwide with their own personalized products and having them as football players also promote our products has really been trying to target the more male audience. And additionally, in the background, we've kind of been building up a lot more of a male facing product line and different colors, also more leak proof products as well, which I think the men were really looking for versus the classic quencher that, of course, if it falls over, it's going to spill. So I think we've been really focused on a lot more sport than fashion and lifestyle over the last year or so. And we're really seeing, even on our own Instagram, those levels changing in terms of male-female ratio, which is exciting.
Oh, it's working then. Great. Next question, please. Everyone, great. What's been really working for you guys right now that maybe didn't work a year ago, and what else do you think will change by next year? Ooh, I mean, influencer marketing moves in very fast ways. Anara?
I would say, I think for me, for example, right, in the slide I shared, we worked with like tiny baking creators, right? And so I think as influencer marketers or people behind brands, I think we're always like, oh, I've already done that, so I can't do it again. I don't think that's true. And something that kind of really clicked for me was I actually was talking to another influencer marketer in the space. And given she works in B2B, I'm in D2C, so it's different. But I told her about these tiny baking videos and she had never seen one ever. So I think even if you think that you've already kind of done something and you can't do it again, or your audience has already seen it, there's always new audiences that have not seen that.
Yeah.
So I think don't be afraid to continue doing something, even if you think that maybe it's kind of past its date or trend. Does that make sense?
Algorithm tends to like the format, doesn't it? And you keep tends to like it with creators anyway. Tess.
Something that's been working really well for us that I think could shift, or that we've been talking about, let's find maybe other audiences to tap into, is we are very tapped into fitness communities and run clubs and those cold plunge, that sauna energy, all the cool kids do that. And you can see, at least in the US, this is rising. There's a new run club every other day. And I think we've tapped into a lot of them. So the question for us internally is okay, what's next? And I think you can keep sampling all of those events, but eventually people are oh, I saw you at the last one, or they kind of start getting it. And I think that's your cue to find something new. And we're kind of just seeing that, I think, in general in influencer marketing, this wellness rise. And then now people are wait, I still like the club, or I still want to go out, or maybe, there's always a balance. There's a switch up that happens. So
why do you think runners particularly like Goodwipes? I'm intrigued.
Apparently when you are a marathon runner or long distance runner, you have to poo. And it's something that happens. Apparently people poo their pants when they run marathons. So
wow,
Goodwipes are handy, and people are always saying, thank God I had Goodwipes, because there's porta potties on the race and they're usually not that great. So that's why runners typically like us.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. George, have you answered?
No, not yet. No. I feel like after that story, I've forgotten what the question was, but I'm going to try and bring it back.
So I think next one, if not, if you want to.
No worries. So I think that something that we've kind of shifted away from a little bit over the last year, that wasn't working great for us a year and a half, 2 years ago, was being a bit too specific with the brief. I think we were missing that personal touch a lot of the time, and when we then allowed for a bit more creative freedom, we saw such incredible content come in that actually was far better and also better performing than when we were stricter about it. So I think just allowing the creator to have that freedom to also bring their own touch and their own style and everything to the content, that's something that we've learned quite a lot.
Yeah, how were you strict, if you don't mind me asking?
I think we would give very specific, detailed briefs.
Okay.
And very often, if we were working on a smaller campaign with just a handful of creators, we would very often within the team think about, okay, what could look good on their feed, and really personalize the brief even to okay, I don't know, this is a cooking channel, so that's how we want to see the product, that that's how we want it to show up. Whereas now we're much more just create what you normally create, and we will just want to be part of it.
Oh, amazing. Okay, next question. What's the best way to approach another brand for unexpected collaboration? DM, LinkedIn, etc.
I love this question.
Go on, Nara. Take it away.
I think if you can kind of bring them in on the story. So tell them what your vision is, kind of explain why you think it works, even if it I think if you can kind of just give them the why, I think you'll likely sell them on it. And I think that if it's the right brand, they're going to be equally wanting to jump in and do something fun and a little unexpected. So yeah.
Anything else from anyone?
I'll jump in. We have a really exciting, unexpected collaboration coming out literally next week. So follow at Goodwipes on Instagram and TikTok to find out what it is. But I will say, the way that happened is we pitched a dream. We got into people's DMs and Inara's saying, show them. Yeah. I think going even as far as mocking up something for an Instagram post will make a brand go, oh my God, they have the vision. I don't have to do a lot of legwork. You already get it. So yeah, I think that's how you can really make that happen with other brands.
Excellent. Guys, by the way, we've got 5 more minutes left for the Q&A. So put all your questions. We're going to do the rapid fire round. I love this. Basically, I'm going to send the questions over and you guys have got to respond in the shortest way possible. Just literally like a short sentence. Are we ready?
Ready.
All right. Okay. First rapid fire question, please.
I'm nervous.
Oh, I know. It's fun, but you know, if you don't want to answer, you don't have to answer. But yeah, it's my favorite section because we get so many questions and just want to get through as many as possible. It's just good to do a little rapid fire. Okay, just wait for the question. It's like, do you know, we need that music, like waiting room music. Oh, there we go. Right. If cookies could scream, would you still eat them? Oh, yes or no?
Oh no.
Yes.
That would be sad.
I think it's a unanimous yes. Next question.
I put headphones on. Yeah.
Yes, Alan, how long have you been influencer marketing? What excites you?
Technically the last like 6-ish years, but formally with this title, only the last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel like I've always done it. And when a brand doesn't have like money to pay someone to do it, they're like, social media manager, you do it. Yeah. And so that naturally is just what I've done for other brands. And I don't know, it just excites me to work with the most brilliant people ever, the sweetest creators who just care so much about doing this. That's my favorite part.
You are very passionate. I love how like enthusiastic and happy. You seem really happy where you are at the moment, so that's amazing. Next question. Most niche community you'd love to collaborate with? Okay. Georgia.
Oh, this is such a good question. I feel like we've tapped into a lot of niche communities. I think something that I'm really excited about, and we've just seeded to, is a lot of the rugby players. I think trying to hit that male audience more. And I know that there's been such a hype around the games recently as well. So I think that's a pretty niche one that we're not used to normally.
Oh, like Anara.
I think for me, it's a graffiti artist community. I think my goal or like my dream has always been to like partner with a graffiti artist and make a branded mural in a city.
Oh, we love that. Tess, quick one for you.
I would say NASCAR.
Oh, that's cool too.
Ooh.
Cool suggestions there. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, an encouraging message to yourself 5 years ago. That's a really sweet one. Tess, I'll go back to you.
It doesn't have to look linear. Your career path can just flow, accept opportunities, say yes to things, make the connections, but it doesn't have to make sense on paper. I've bounced around a lot and just keep going back to what you love and encourage yourself through it. You got it.
I love that. Anara.
Totally agree. I think it's okay to figure it out as you go. You don't have to have it all figured out by 25, 30, 35, or even beyond that.
Yeah.
Everyone's still figuring it out as they go.
Yeah. Georgia?
Completely agree. I think something I wish I would have heard maybe 10 years ago is that it gets better than just sending out email after email after email after email to all the influencers.
That's so funny. Georgia, what's the video of the car fire?
It's real. I think I get asked this all the time. Yeah, it's real. It really happened. It was not staged at all. I think it was like the biggest blessing we've ever had. I've experienced, at least at a brand. And we've had influencers and creators try to recreate it since, but the viral one that everyone knows from the States is real.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Incredible. Okay, do we have another question? Yeah, I saw that. People think it was staged. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is whitelisting top performing influencer content? Nara.
I'm gonna say a 6. I think it depends. Sometimes if it's kind of already organically performing, continue let it doing its thing. But I think then when you kind of see it start to hit a peak, then you can kind of start to whitelist it.
Yeah. Georgia?
Completely aligned. That's exactly how we would run it too.
Tess?
Yeah, unless we're initially going to whitelist it. Yeah, if we see an organic piece pop off and it's just that's the way the brief was and the contractual agreements, we probably won't whitelist it until it maybe hits. its ride, but probably not ever. We'll just let it be organic. And
yeah.
All right, next question. What advice would you give to a brand that sells subscriptions that are trying to get their influencers to sell subscriptions? So have you worked with subscriptions before?
I have.
Right.
I've worked on the tech side of subscriptions for brands, weirdly enough. And also we are like, we should have a subscription because like, you know, people use them and it becomes a part of your routine. I feel like Stanley would be a little hard to have a subscription. But I think when it comes to getting influencers to promote subscriptions, having them promote the value long-term of being a subscriber, like what do you get on a monthly basis? Why is it exciting? Are they earning points the longer they are subscribed? Is there like stay 6 months and then you get something big? Like have the influencer talk about why to be on subscription more so than just getting a product every month.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, next question. Thank you. Favorite creator who is doing content well? Anara, do you have one?
Come back to me. I need to think about
All
this
right,
one.
Georgia.
I'm currently, I mean, not even currently, I have been obsessed with her for a long time. I'm going to mispronounce her name, I'm sure. Amelia DeMoldenberg. She just did this, or not just, last year I think she did this incredible campaign with Bumble, which just made sense. But I am obsessed with Chicken Shop Dates. I feel like it just hits home in the best way possible. But she just does it so entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's short enough that you watch the entire thing, but it's also long enough that it gives you a good laugh.
She needs to be drinking out of a Stanley cup.
Well, she has one. We already gifted her one, of course.
Oh, what was it? Did it have like chicken on it?
No, it didn't. It was matching one of her outfits, I think, again. Maybe even the Bumble one. It was a yellow one, like butter yellow. So, yeah.
Amazing. What are the best tools and resources for someone starting out in influencer marketing solo with no influencer team? Oh, okay. Who wants to take this one?
Obviously,
Is it
Modash.
Is it too cheesy to say Modash?
I literally was like, should I just say Modash? Like, I'll take this question.
But I also think Google Sheets is going to be your best friend too. So.
Yeah. Gotta love a good spreadsheet. And how do you manage commissions and attribution with creator affiliates? Tess.
Affiliates doesn't fall in my purview as much, so I pass on this one. But
anyone want to pick it up?
So same for me, but I have done that a lot more in the past as well. And I think attribution will always be a massive black box. And I'm yet, honestly, to find someone who's nailed the art of getting like a proper multi-touch attribution model in place. Modash, maybe this is something you want to look into next. But I've found it incredibly difficult, and we've normally then gone for first touch attribution models to just ensure that we're getting the most in terms of revenue as possible attributed to our channel as well. So I would say as such, and just ensuring that those codes are personalized that you're using so you can really track who's performing well.
Excellent. Well, guys, thank you so much. That's a wrap on the Q&A section. Thank you. And if you have stuck to the very end of this webinar, wow, huge congratulations, because we have been going for about 2 hours 40. So thank you so much. But this has been absolutely amazing. But let's keep the conversation going. Drop your LinkedIn profiles in the chat so we can all connect, and let us know which part of this Modash Live was the most useful. I know there was so much info here today, so we'll be sending out a replay to your inbox, which you can rewatch it at any time. We'll also include a few additional resources, including our influencer marketer salary report. So keep an eye out for your email. That report is absolutely incredible, by the way. For those of you who have won a prize for being the most good vibes throughout this webinar, you will get an email very, very shortly. And as always, if you want to learn how to manage and grow your influencer program, visit modash.io. We've also got loads of resources and a 14-day free trial. I hope to see you guys on LinkedIn. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Thank you so much to our guests. Love it. Where can people find you? LinkedIn? Yes, we're all LinkedIn girlies. Excellent. Brilliant. Thanks, guys. Thank you for joining.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.